Fathers podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal advice. If you are going through the family law court process, particularly as a father, then this podcast may be relevant to what you may experience. Some things we discuss in these episodes may be triggering, and if you suffer from any form of mental health related conditions or subject to domestic or family violence and need any assistance, then please call 1-800-RESPECT in Lifeline. The views and experiences discussed by people on our show are not necessarily the views and opinions of Broken Fathers podcast or their guest speakers. We strongly advise you seek your own independent legal and professional advice, as the Broken Fathers podcast will not be liable, answerable, or accountable for any loss or damage or litigation resulting from discussions on our platform. Right, this podcast is now in session. Hold on, guys. The judge is running late to court. So whilst we wait, I'd like to take this moment to acknowledge our platinum sponsor, Straight Up Construction. At Straight Up Construction, they take pride in delivering high-end work across every trade. From new builds to renovations, no job is too big or too small. Director Luke Miller and his dedicated team tackle every project with integrity, hard work, honesty, and a commitment to delivering superior quality results every time. Straight Up Construction is built on the belief that strong foundations matter just as much in the bones of a home as they do in the heart of one. Families should stand strong, and every loving parent should maintain their right to be a part of their children's lives. Straight Up Construction believes that in true Aussie spirit, everyone deserves a fair go. That's why we're proud to have Straight Up Construction as our platinum sponsor. With their support, we continue to produce the Broken Fathers podcast and shine a light on the struggles of men who have been let down by the system. Good morning, listeners and viewers, and welcome back to the Broken Fathers podcast, Australia's first and only podcast dedicated to addressing family court issues from the perspective of fathers. I'm your host, Percy. Now, before I introduce my next guest, just a reminder, the link for my podcast merchandise is in our bio on Insta and Facebook, or just go straight to fkvx.au. Now, today, I'm joined with Tony Nikolic, an Australian solicitor and principal of AFL Solicitors, practising nationally across commercial litigation, complex family law, estates, and criminal law. Born in Darwin and raised in Hurstville, New South Wales, Tony studied at the University of Western Sydney. He holds a Master of Law in Family Dispute Resolution, accreditation and mediation also, a Master's of Law in Commercial Litigation, an honours degree in Criminology, I'm not going to pronounce this word correctly, Notary, and a Diploma in Business Management. Tony is also a published author, having contributed a chapter to the International Handbook of Whistleblowers Research 2014, focusing on the protection of whistleblowers and taxpayers. Tony is well known for his work in complex family law matters, including high conflict parenting property disputes that frequently intersect with criminal proceedings, and he represents clients across Australia. He is a strong advocate for practical, evidence-based legal reform, including a proposed family law 3 strikes model to address repeated breaches of parenting orders. He has appeared in major public interest cases such as Kassam v. Hazard and Atavli v. Commonwealth, successfully represented workers in COVID-related employment matters, and appeared before Australian Senate hearings on COVID accountability. He continues to represent the injured and families of the deceased in the pursuit of answers and justice. Tony is a regular contributor on Sky News Australia and has written for the Spectator Australia and the Epoch Times on civil and human rights, firearms law, and the government accountability. Following a recent visit to the United States, Tony and his team delivered a draft bill proposing meaningful form law reform. Outside the law, Tony is an accomplished bass guitarist performing live with 2 bands, and he ran for federal parliament in the seat of Chief Whip of One Nation. Tony, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Mate, thanks for coming on. How do you like Gold Coast?
Oh, loving it. Visiting my brother up there in Gladstone, and on the way back, I've spent 2-3 days down here. Lovely place, Queensland. It's pretty close to home. Obviously, I've got my brother up there. So
yeah, nice. Mate, let's, before we dive into the family court, I'd like to get to know about my guests, where they're from and what life was like growing up.
Oh, mate, born in Darwin,
Yeah.
Early 70s. I think it was soon after Cyclone Tracy. Moved to Sydney.
Yep, sweet.
And since then, we grew up in a place called Hurstville, and went to school around there, played rugby league and all that sort of stuff.
Yep.
big Roosters supporter. By
Yeah,
the way. Don't hold that against
Up the
us.
Roosters.
I haven't got my
He's got,
tattoo.
yes. For the viewers at home that aren't watching via YouTube, me and Tony, we both got Roosters logos tattooed on us. So.
Yeah, the back-to-back,
That's
18,
right.
19, 6 again.
They're still whinging.
So I'm a member, really loyal member, been that way myself, my family, even my nephews, they're very young now.
Yep.
So they're getting into the Roosters feel of things, and we always go on a home game. So in that sense, culturally, right into the community, I've always been a part of that style of community. My parents came from the Balkans.
Yeah.
Well, my father came in the late 50s, met mum in the 60s, brought her over, and he left a communist country or socialist country at the time, and he was always telling us, beautiful, like for Australia, beautiful, lucky country. He goes, you don't know what you have. He goes, and what we left and what they were going through at the time. So we had that coming through the generation as to, you know, how lucky we are in this country to have that semblance of freedom, what you could and couldn't do and how you operated in society. And one of the big things is to tell us, although, you know, we have the, that culture coming across here, which was the Albanian, Christian Albanian culture, the issue, what he was saying is you're in another country now, and he goes, respect this country because it's giving you the foundation for you to build off, and you can do anything if you put your mind to it. And growing up, that's what we did. And so you can hear we were, yes, in the Albanian Balkan community, because it was a Balkan community. And mum and dad used to help people come over, and legitimate migration, by the way, 'cause it's a very big topic at the moment.
Yeah, it is.
But they always had that sense of helping someone. And that's how we were brought up. And we always had that sense of, you know, look out for your community. But it wasn't just that. It was assimilate.
Yeah.
Yes, we're culturally, Christian, and Australia's a Judeo-Christian society. But mum and dad, they always honed in on us and said, you know, this is your country. This is where you're at. Okay, you respect where you come from. Respect your culture and your ethnicity, because two different subjects. But you're Australian now, and put everything into this country. And growing up, that's what we did. And you can actually hear it in my accent. You know, like, you know, I played footy. I grew up, you know, playing handball. You know, going out with mates, and you know, partying after the grand final win or something like that. You know, so this is how we were raised. And I remember my mother, just before she passed away, she said to me, she goes, Tony, you know, when I got my law degree and all that, obviously, she's saying, look, you got this talent, you got to help people. And that's how we grew up. We used to have them helping people, helping communities coming through. And she said, look, you know, you went to university, you've learned something. Help people that don't have money. Help people who are sick. Help people who are in jail. Give them a voice, okay?
Yeah.
And that message stayed with me, and that's what I do to this day. I still help people to this day. Going through, I signed up for AGI.
In
2001, I signed up with AGI, and then I had a big injury, and I couldn't actually, obviously I couldn't deploy or anything like that, so I didn't make it in. My brother went into the Army Reserves. He was in the Army Reserves for years.
Some time.
Quite mech. He was in mechanised inf. Yeah. So he was there for quite some time, and so obviously, you know, we assimilated, and that to me is a very important part of where we are today. And my kids too, same. They've been brought up like that. So I've got adult children, and I tell them, just make sure you know where you are. Now, an important distinction that I say is this, is that fighting for your country, being a patriot, doesn't mean you agree with everything. It's about respecting where you're at, respecting what they're doing. But if you need to stand up and fight, you stand up and fight.
Yeah.
And that's the credo of a lawyer, isn't it?
That's right.
You know what I mean? And you know, I had ex-defence forces, ex-police. They all worked for me. You know what I mean? And great guys. And, you know, to this day, I've got immense respect for all those people. look, I went through university, came out with criminology, worked in the intelligence sector for quite some time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and that's like a little bit of a snapshot of my background.
Yep.
And that's why you'll always hear me talk about just because you're a patriot doesn't mean you shut up. Actually, a true patriot will stand up against the government, but not in a bad way, not throwing Molotov cocktails or anything like that. It's about pointing out, hey, I disagree with you. And having the ability to disagree is something that we've lost here because you can disagree respectfully, and that's what we do. And that's what we do. But now they use these right-wing extremists. No, you're not. What a bunch of baloney that is, okay? Yeah. And if you stand up for someone's rights or something, look, extremist or, you're this outcast, like, leave me alone. Like, we can't reform if we don't address it, and we need to address it. How do you do it? We need to identify it. What's the problem? And if there's a problem in the institutions, you've got to identify it. What's the gap? How do we address it? What do we do? And that's what I'll do.
Yeah. Mate, I know before I'll ask you a question, mate, growing up, your parents still together today, or are they still alive?
Oh, no, both passed away. Yeah.
But they stayed together till then?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that's good, yeah. Siblings, you got the one brother, anyone else?
Yeah, one brother, one sister.
Oh, yeah, sister, older, younger?
I'm the youngest.
Yep.
Yeah, the troublemaker. I'm that black sheep.
Whereabouts do they live? Both down Sydney?
No, brothers in Gladstone.
Oh, sorry, you said that, yep.
Yeah, brothers in Gladstone. My sister's down in Sydney. She's got grandkids, and they're the young nephews that I've sort of convinced to become Roosters supporters, even though they live in the Sharkies area.
Yeah, Cronulla.
They live down there, and I keep buying them Roosters memorabilia.
Good.
But now, they'll cry if the Roosters lose, like they're young.
Yeah, it's good.
Oh no, we got ripped off. That's cool.
Did you go 2002 grand final?
Yes, mate.
I wasn't there. I was grade 8. Yeah,
that was a killer. With Freddie Fitler.
Was it Villa Sand? Who was the one that did the headshot on him?
Yeah, and he got
Goodenbill, mate. But then Adrian Morley got him back in there. Remember, put that big shot on him. He was my favourite enforcer, Adrian. We'll go down the road of Roosters, mate. I know we spoke off camera, but you've been through the family court journey yourself.
Yes.
Yeah. Are you happy to touch on that?
Partially, partially. I'm happy to talk about it. Look, my children, they're adult children, but at the time they were very young.
Yeah.
Went through quite a stressful time of 3.5 years. Yeah. And even as a lawyer, budding through as a lawyer back then, because it's quite some time ago now. But, I started looking, I'm saying, hang on, just felt as a dad, I was like fighting, I used the metaphor of a 400-meter track.
Yep.
And, you're lining up like in a race.
But you get a head start.
Yeah.
I've used this same, I say, imagine having a 100-meter race and, the ex has a 90-meter head start.
Yeah.
Like it's,
Yeah, you're like half a lap behind.
Yeah.
You're half a lap behind. And it was like I had to labour. And don't get me wrong, I think, when you have a look at the writing of, the system, we're gender neutral. And I think that's the balance that they portray. But I think as a guy going through it, no, I just felt to myself, hang on a second, there's something wrong here. And I was fighting tooth and nail to just be heard. And then it got to a point to where I just said, you know what, screw this. I started doing a lot of the case myself.
Oh, self-representing?
Yeah. But then I had a really...
And this was before you're a lawyer, right?
Just before I started getting into all that, because I was in Intel at the time. Yeah. So it was a very different, but still my education allowed me to address things, structural things. So as a criminologist, psychology, philosophy, sociology. So they're all the things that you sort of go through in
family court.
Absolutely. And so, there's all these issues coming through. And luckily, look, there were a whole bunch of false allegations. And for me, I was lucky because I knew how to address it. And what it opened my eyes up to is the guys that are out there that are getting these false that can't adapt to that, and it doesn't mean they're not intelligent. I'm not saying that whatsoever.
No, I'll pause you real there before I forget to ask you the question. how do you address a false allegation? Because for me, you'd get this 4 pages of fabricated allegations, and my lawyer would say, you have to respond to it. And I'll just be like, no, it didn't happen. Like, and he would say, you need to elaborate more. I'm thinking, how am I supposed to elaborate on something that clearly did not happen? I don't understand how I'm supposed to answer this because I wasn't there. Like, and so I don't know how someone, a lot of fathers in my position, how to address false allegations. And for me, I had to get a bank statement to prove, I did a purchase at Woolworths at this time, so I couldn't be there. But it's just like, I just said no to everything, like no. And he's like, you can't just say no. I'm like, well, I don't understand how I'm supposed to. Hey guys, just a quick shout out to our gold sponsors. MCH Industries are a mining maintenance specialist company supplying solutions to the coal mining industry in the Bowen Basin and regional New South Wales. They supply superintendents, supervisors, leading hands, diesel fitters, tyre fitters, auto electricians, HV electricians, and trade assistants to assist. The mining one-stop shop for mechanical trades. MCH Industries are always looking for good blokes to jump on the team, so check out their Instagram for more details. And are you looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? There's only one name that's been leading the way for over 123 years, Ray White. Ray White isn't just another real estate brand. It's a family business built on ambition, trust, and leadership. Today, it stands as the largest real estate group in Australasia, connecting people with homes and investments across the country. Whether you're a first-time buyer, a seasoned investor, or looking for that perfect home, Ray White is committed to delivering authentic, local expertise. Because real estate isn't just about properties, it's about people, communities, and futures. And when it comes to trusted leadership, meet Alex Illian, an ex-Army veteran turned dedicated real estate agent. Alex knows what it means to serve, to strategize, and to get the job done. Whether you're looking to buy, sell, or just have questions, Alex is here to guide you every step of the way, servicing the Geelong, Bellarine, and Surf Coast areas. Ray White, the name you can trust in real estate. Answer a scenario at an event that just did not happen. Yeah, so.
It's a really good question, mate. It's a super question, and it's really unfortunate because you're touching on something. If something doesn't occur, how do I explain it? But yet you're being demanded to explain something. So you're being asked to prove a negative.
That's right.
And how do you prove a negative?
And it's real easy for someone to say a negative. Oh, he did this, X, Y, Z, no evidence. But then you're left to run around, use a lot of time and energy to constantly prove something that didn't happen.
Yeah, well, that's right. And that's the difficulty of where we're at. As a lawyer too now, because I do a lot of, complex and some pretty complex ones, and we may touch on some of the older ones that I've done. I won't name.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah, I'll never name anyone, or I'll try not to give a year or anything like that. But that's for specific rules.
Of course.
But the issues that we get in that area are quite profound, and I, quite frankly, I'm very surprised sometimes, because the client will say, mate, I wasn't at 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
Nothing happened there, for example.
Yeah.
And you say, well, I deny that allegation. Well, you get to court and it's like, well, that's not good enough. Well,
what more am I supposed to say or do? I don't know how to,
do you want me to lie?
Yeah, that's
Is that what you want me to do? Do you want me to lie? And that is an unfortunate gap, and that's what we want to address, right? But how do we address that? Well, you need evidence to come to your side. And, if the other side, whether it's a guy or girl again, because it happens both ways, but predominantly, I'll tell you now, predominantly it's against guys.
Yeah, of course.
Predominantly, okay. And if they can't come with that cracking evidence, which is, a video or, triangulation of a mobile phone saying that I was at 7-Eleven or something like that, well, why am I being asked to prove that I wasn't there when you can't prove I was there?
That's right.
So the burden gets switched into what we call it the burden of proof.
Okay, yeah.
So the burden's switched. I just get an allegation. I now need, and this is a really good topic, right? Because this is where a lot of guys get bogged down, and it's not their fault.
Yeah.
But that burden of proof now gets switched with the allegation, and we get these by proxy attacks on guys. What I mean by that, the by proxy, she can, or he or she can go there and make an allegation. That allegation is now put through psychiatrists, counsellors, supervised contact centres, they are now mandatory reporters. Okay, so that person doesn't necessarily need to make the allegation directly in a court. It's coming through these by proxy parties. Those by proxy parties now influence a court. Now, a judge, you're looking out for your kid. And that I'm pretty firm on. I think they do. They look out for kids. This is because they know you're going to hate each other.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mum and dad will just have a go at each other. And I genuinely believe that the court's interests, and I do believe this, that they do want to protect the kid, but they get caught up in that system.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that as a critique. I'm saying that genuinely as a legal gap that needs to be addressed, because where a mandatory reporter comes in and says, this is the allegation I heard, Joe Bloggs did this according to them, that then gets fed into that system. That judge now says, well, I have to protect this kid or these kids. And the judge gets bound by that. What happens? A year, 2, 3 years go on, going in this system. How long's it been since Dad's seen the kids?
Right.
Ages.
Do you feel that's so people in general, even outside of family court, we could talk about all different industries, but for example, in the family court, people learn the system, so they go, okay, well, I could just fabricate an allegation, and the judge, even though there's no evidence, the judge is going to have to take it on board because it's a serious, say it's child abuse allegation, make it up.
Yep.
And I get it, because as a judge, like, okay, there's no evidence, but it's an allegation. It could be true, it might not be, but regardless, I'm going to have to protect the child. So in the meantime, sorry, mate, you're going to have to go to supervision contact centre until you can prove you're innocent, And it's kind of like, I feel people, again, all different systems out there, people will learn the system and use it as a tactic, and I feel that's what's going on.
It is.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate side of it. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so, and I'll address some of these parts that how we're trying to address it. My perspective.
Yeah, that'd be good for
when I advocate. I try and learn from it, and I integrate into, and I talk to other people. I literally just got back from America. We'll touch on that in a moment. Yeah, because of, there were some people over there, but a really stark example of a case that I won't identify. Poor guy, a family law proceeding started. Bear in mind one thing, and this is what tweaks me out, and it really irks me. It infuriates me. All right, so they're together for 10 years. But just make it.
Yep.
They're together for 10 years. A family law starts. He's been violent, a pig, a misogynist. He's been doing this for 8 years. But this only happens
when they break up.
And
there's never 8. Okay, so shouldn't you have 8 years of a paper trail or evidence somewhere in that 8 years?
Infuriates me.
But there's none.
Infuriates me. And now that guy is going through that checklist. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. I wasn't here, or I was there. And so, but that takes years.
That's right. Real quick, when you said, how did you word it before? Put it back on them, burden of proof.
Burden of proof, yeah, switching the burden of proof.
Yeah. So would that be similar? I remember, my ex said, he's a junkie, he has to go do a hair follicle test. And so I'm sure you probably hear that with in most cases. So my barrister said, no worries, my client, Percy's happy to get it done, but you can pay for it. You're the one that you're the one that wants him to get it done. Mm-hmm. He's happy to get it, so you can pay for it. And the judge said, yeah, that's fine. And all of a sudden, oh, no, I can't pay for it. Well, if you're so certain that he's a junkie, wouldn't you be wanting no.
Yeah.
So is that similar, putting it back on them type thing?
In a sense, but that's a
yeah, it is a bit different.
Somewhat nuanced because here you're being burdened with the allegation, but you're saying if you want it, you pay for it. Yeah. So it can be, taken both ways.
Yeah, okay.
But in that sense, like you said, the hair follicle tests and things like that, they're pretty common.
Yeah, I feel like everyone. I don't think I've had a father that hasn't had to do one.
Yeah, but there was this one, and I won't obviously identify, but yeah, they were together. They were married for quite some time, and I think it was only 2 weeks, or the weekend before the family law stuff started, because it simmers, right?
It bottles up.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know you're going to end up going down that road.
It bottles up there. And so they were on a trip. I won't even say what part of Australia they were on. Beautiful. Like, you watch the videos, they're all playing. They're, doing these fun things together as a family. And, Daddy, I love you. And Mummy, I love you. And they're having a great time. Thanks for taking. These are the videos that are coming out. The next week, family law starts. All of a sudden, he's been violent.
He's a monster.
Absolutely.
He's a killer. He's an abuser. Pedophile. This, that. Yeah.
Absolutely. A week after that, detectives call. I've got to talk to you. Why? What's up? Oh, he's domestic violence. Common assaults, that sort of stuff. When did this start? Oh, we just got the reports and we need to do our investigation. And mind you, like, a lot of us are from, I was from Intel, so I work very closely with the community for
different government departments.
Many years, And some of my team are ex-DPP and ex-police prosecutors. And I'll tell you one thing, we do go against them quite a bit, but immense respect for what they do in our community. Don't get me wrong, it doesn't mean I agree with them. It just means that, look, I know who you are, you know who I am. Mate, if we got to come to loggerheads, we'll still be friends.
In a respectful way.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's the way I treat them. I'm a big fan of what they do and the hard job they do, just like our ADF. They get attacked all the time for doing what they do. And why? I don't understand why we do that. It's usually pen pushers in offices that do that. But in this case, the detectives call us. Our client goes there. Here we have allegations of violence. That goes on for 6 months.
Oh, man.
Back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Now he's going into the criminal courts to defend.
TV stuff or whatever, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And 8 months later, they say, you know what, we've done all our research, we've spoken to these guys, we've spoken to lawyers, we're dropping the case. He hasn't seen his kids in 8 months.
That's right. Another tactic.
Hasn't seen his kids in 8 months. Sweet. Go with that. We now amend all paperwork. We want to see the kids. 2 weeks later.
New allegation.
Absolutely. Sexual assault.
Yep.
Sexual assault. And I'm going, this is amazing. I mean, from a very surprising angle, how this can occur. What happens? Goes through all the systems again.
That's right. Revolving door.
Absolutely.
Round and around and around.
Absolutely. And this poor guy, you can see the pain.
Yeah.
I look at these dads and I go, we're on this merry-go-round. Unfortunately, it's not my control. And what sucks too is, you've got this thing. We're not controlling it. We're a part of it, and we're having to help them navigate. So you're kind of trying to educate your client as well as to, it's not right. We've got to get through this step and this step. And what's Dad saying to you? Dad's saying to you, well, this is wrong. How can this be continuing, and how can't you stop it? We can only stop it when we get to a final hearing, you know what I mean, or an interim hearing. And even then, if it's interim with not all the evidence, you see, with all those burdens and things that are going on and all those standards, it makes it really hard for Dad to get some sort of leg up on something, especially if there's a criminal allegation.
Yeah.
Sexual assault, they're the ones. And the judges, think about it, a judge doesn't know you, doesn't know her, or, vice versa, and saying, well, man, I've got a kid in them. If it's true, I can't put that kid there.
Yeah.
But then for this whole time, these kids, we're getting close to 2 years. These kids are growing up. Dad doesn't care. He stopped fighting for them. And research tends to show, and it's not a hard and fast rule, research tends to show that after 30 days, kids start losing faith in the other parent.
Wow, 30 days.
Yeah, 30 days. That's if there's no contact, that sort of stuff. And if there's ADVAs or apprehended domestic violence, if there's allegations of sexual, no one's going to let you get close to your kids. Not even a FaceTime.
Yeah.
And that's the difficult situation. I think our system needs repairing big time, and I'll touch on some of the things that I'm working on in that space. But what we need to do is we really need to take a good hard look at ourselves and separate ideology and political correctness solid facts and law.
Absolutely.
Okay. And one of those, okay, so we've got the problem. Okay, the reaction is take the kids out. And to an extent, sometimes they get it right. Okay. And when they get it right, we're actually doing good for our society. Right.
Yeah.
But what we've missed here in Australia is dads are so important to those.
Absolutely.
Dad in your kid's life is one of the most beneficial things, as long as he's not,
Yeah, of course.
Not
violent or bad. Yeah.
Absolutely, and if he's a good role, because that's what we want. We want good role models. Okay, mum's good role model, great. We want good role models. Kids to say, hey, look at my dad. He's giving me this belief system, and mum's giving him that nurturing system.
Yep.
Okay, and dad gives you that toughness. Okay. Oh, no, we want wallflowers everywhere. No, you need it. We want to get back to a community where the central part of the house is the strength of the father with the mother.
Yeah.
Okay. And if they can't get along, then they need to support each other. And that's what the intention of the act is a meaningful relationship with both parents.
Yeah.
It's not happening in some cases. Okay. And in those cases that go to court, that's not happening, and you're getting a kid. And what's research show? Those kids grow up with psychological problems. So was it really in the best interest of the kid to keep dad away?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
It wasn't. And so if, those Section 60 CC factors, which is, best interest of the child and the paramountcy of the child, which is a different section, CA. But the issue is this, did we really achieve what we want? If 35% of Australian kids are growing up saying, well, I didn't have a dad or a father figure in my life. And when it does occur, that kid grows up with lifelong issues.
Yeah.
And runs into dad somewhere and goes, oh, you dumped me.
Yeah.
And
Mum said this, mum said that.
Alienation.
Yeah, parent alienation.
Yeah, okay. Parental alienation. That's a whole new different effect because it's a psychological harm.
Yep.
Okay, and then you've got gatekeeping. Are you aware of gatekeeping?
I haven't heard that term. I've heard it before, but not in regards to family court.
Okay, you won't. It's all this terminology and stuff. So you got alienation, which is about the beliefs.
Yep.
Dad's bad. Dad's going to kill you. Dad's going to hurt you, or dad's going to touch you. That's the belief system in alienation. Gatekeeping is somewhat more nuanced, where you actually it's access. So you got a belief, alienation, access. So when dad's got time, swimming lessons, you got to do your homework. So you're always restricting access, gatekeeping that access to the child.
Yeah.
What does that do? It reduces your time. I've enrolled them into gymnastics, or I've enrolled them into footy training. That's my time. So now you gatekeep. So now you're reducing.
Controlling?
Controlling
away?
Well, it is.
Yeah,
it is. But you're a gatekeeper. So a gatekeeper in our terminology, in the way we do things. And you see regulators in society, and they gatekeep information. So the ombudsman is a gatekeeper of information, okay? And then they'll release it as it comes out. Here you got a parent, and that person will gatekeep that child from getting access to the other parent. Okay. And so it's a little bit different to alienation, because alienation is a manipulation of that child and their beliefs, which again is psychological harm in my view. And I think we're looking at it differently here. I think not everything's alienation just because it's not happening, but I think a lot of it's getting away. Okay. And when I was telling about this case that I'm talking about, where the detectives were involved, and they rang us and they said, mate, and they said, settle this in the family court. They could see. So that's a detective, and they're very good, mate. And that's why I hold them. If they think your child's at risk, the detectives, mate, they'll go to town, mate, to make that case. But they didn't. And they knew. They could see what was happening.
Yeah.
They said, may the lords of the family court. That's where it went. And, it went on and on and on. And 3 years later, 3.5 years later, you get the result. What was the kid saying? Don't want to see you.
Don't want to see, yeah.
Don't want to see you. You did this to us.
Mm.
They've believed this.
They've been brainwashed.
Is that the system we want?
No, definitely not.
Not the system we want.
Do you think, sorry, I went off track there.
That's all right.
We'll come back. Do you think judges go home and sleep well at night? I'm sure there's probably some that do. I'm probably sure there's some that don't.
Yeah. Oh, let's be fair. That, and I'm not sticking up. I'll never stick. If I see it red, it's red. If it's blue, it's blue. It's black, it's black. I'll call it. Am I impressed with some of the things? No, I'm not. I think they got to do the best they can with what they have, and that's the difficulty of it. Do I still firmly believe they're trying to do good? I really do believe that they are trying to do good, and I see them shake their heads sometimes. How come you haven't given that time? Yeah. And they'll literally go to town on the other. I haven't seen anything. So we do see that.
That's good.
You do see that in the courts. But I just think, like I was saying, the system, the structural system around us needs to change, because that judge needs to work on what? Evidence.
Yeah.
What evidence is being brought there. And if he's being brought all these mandatory reporters who are making those allegations on behalf, so by proxy means that you're the mandatory reporter, that's the other parent, makes the allegation to you, not directly in a court, that sort of removes them, doesn't it? You see how it removes them from now you're making the allegation on their behalf.
Yeah, I get you.
So you're by proxy, you're this proxy imparting this info. Now, if that's a false allegation, you don't know that because you've been told that. You're just imparting what the person told you.
Okay.
That holds you in limbo for a year and a half, 2 years. Because now you've got to do all these investigations. You've got to go to a psychologist. You've got to go to an assessment. You've got to go to this person. Are you on meds? Are you on this? You've got to, drug test. All this stuff goes. What, a year and a half, 2 years later, coming back in? Where's the kid? These are the systemic issues we need to address. And mate, I've been in cases where the supervised contact centre was writing really good reports about the dad. Great. The other lawyer writes to the supervised contact centre and says, all I'm seeing is positive reports. Where are the negative ones?
Oh, wow.
We intercepted this. Right? You know what happened after that point in time? How many things were said good about the dad?
None. Wow.
None. This poor dad, and I feel for him every day, mate.
Man,
People think we just go to work and I
could imagine,
we're parents too.
Yeah, you feel,
Mate, I feel for it, mate. I feel for him.
I was at work last night and I feel, when I was in the army deploying, I wasn't a father then. But now, I work at the hospital, and whenever I see like a little child or baby brought in, I think, like it hits you different because you're a father now. You know what I mean? On a stretcher or thing. So, mate, we'll come back. Sorry, I went down the road. So you were talking about you addressing the fabricated allegations when you were going through court, and you did that. If you could just touch on your court journey real quick before you became a lawyer. Yeah. Long journey, 3.5 years. Yeah. It was
quite. It ended up settling. It didn't even get to a judgment.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good then.
Yeah. It didn't even get to a judgment because I actually got to a point to where I pointed everything out, and I think Her Honour, really good. Because if you approach it respectfully and engage respectfully, do things respectfully, you'll get points. Okay, and it's not about point scoring. I don't want to say it's just the metaphor.
Yep.
But if you address things and you don't attack the other side, let them attack you.
Yeah.
Hold the moral high ground.
I do remember my barrister saying something similar to that. My ex would say something like, "No, but I'd say X, Y, Z," and he goes, "Don't worry about that. Just extinguish the fire, hang. Just don't add fuel to it. Let's just extinguish it and move on." Yeah, okay. He's, excuse the language, he's a dickhead. Oh, she's a bitch. He's a dickhead. She's a bitch. It's not going to go nowhere. Yeah.
It's not going to go nowhere. Okay, he's a dickhead. Okay, well, okay, thank you, but you said this. Where are we at?
Yeah.
And so you're actually you're deflecting that to the side. Okay. You got your ballistic vest on. That's usually you need that because of all the words and bullets coming out. But you got that on, and you just got to deflect it and address it professionally. And some of the things really came down to the evidence. And the reason it settled is because Her Honour really cluey and said to the other side, I think you take your client outside to them and have a talk to him, or I'm going to make a ruling.
Yeah.
In other words,
would probably go against you, as in her.
just not
Go
and talk, because the evidence coming from your side isn't matching up, and there's nothing here. And I ended up doing a really good deal. I'm not sure we would have got an awesome judgment out of that, but because I didn't want that. I never did want that. And a lot of guys, if you talk to them, they want that. What do you want? How can I help you? How can we resolve this? The other side says, let's lay the boot in while they're down.
Yeah.
Well, that's wrong. That's wrong. And that said it infuriates me. So some of the issues going into. So I just got back from Texas. I did a really big trip around the USA looking at different. Some of it had to do with COVID, and I was invited in the Senate over there.
That's awesome.
In the Hart building there, and I sat in on one of the Senate inquiries over there. I've done Senate inquiries here in Australia, but I went to Texas and I don't know if you know a guy, Rob Garza.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, follow him, yeah.
Okay,
I've had a lot of people taking me in this stuff, yeah.
Yeah. Lovely guy.
Yeah.
He and I met, we sat down. He's a genuine guy, good guy to know. He and I sat down in a restaurant there in just outside of Dallas. We were talking about some of the amendments. He's not a lawyer, really cluey guy, but I mean, got a lot of respect for Rob. Great guy. And there's another guy here. I won't mention his name because he doesn't want me to, but I'm just going to call him Ross. Call him Ross. Another great guy. And they're working, we've got this little international clique going now.
Yep.
And I spoke to Rob and we had lunch. Obviously, Texas and US law is very different. Constitutionally, there's one article of the respective constitutions that are very similar, not cut and paste, but similar. That's our judicial system, Article 3, Chapter 3. But sitting down with Rob in Texas, we had a lunch, barbecue, octopus, calamari, beautiful stuff. But we spoke about some issues, and this is where we are now bringing those here. And we need the support, because if we get that support, and it's not a guy-girl, it's absolutely down the line, gender neutral. But what it is time taken, time back. Okay, false allegation. Let's use it because we've just spoken about that.
Yep.
And this is one we're going to be introducing, and I'll talk about the 3 strikes one that I've already introduced. Okay, that's being worked on. But the time taken, time back, spoke to Rob about it. I said, Rob, that's a brilliant, very practical, very pragmatic, effective for the community, effective for the taxpayer, effective for everyone. The courts will love it. Everyone will love it. And it's all about accountability. Well, time taken, time back. What is it? We spoke about that guy, 3 years by proxy.
Yep.
It goes to the detectives 3 years later.
He gets that time back?
Yes. Let's say you had each alternate.
Because that will stop people from fabricating allegations.
Absolutely. And it's not a penalty.
Well, isn't that what perjury is for, but they don't use it?
That's right.
Yeah, but anyway, keep going.
No,
I'll
you're
touch
right.
on that later.
No, you're right.
That's the whole point of perjury.
Well, that's right.
But they don't touch it, right?
That's right. Because that allegation, there was an allegation, it could have happened. This is what you get. It could have happened. We just didn't have the evidence. How did we get from it didn't happen to it could have happened, we didn't have the evidence, therefore we'll leave it the way it is? You know what? Water under the bridge. Let's move on from here.
I'm going to write that down. Time taken, time back.
Yes. We've got a bill coming, okay? You'll actually see it, okay? And so when your viewers and or you guys, I'll send it to you if you want.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
I'll send it to you. And a lot of people think, oh, bloody hell, another lawyer. But I'm actually looking not just at operating in there, but actually influencing change.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I've spoken to former registrars of the court, barristers. They go, mate, that's a great law. I will say one thing, but it does happen. Judges here in Australia are prepared
to do it.
Yeah, they will do it if you can show it. But a lot of people get into an interim order.
Oh, and they just sign I got you.
So, and it's a temporary thing, right? But then, okay, look, until this is done, I'll go for 2 hours a fortnight at a supervised centre, I'll pay for it. That'll go on for 2 years.
Yeah, absolutely.
That becomes a part of your final order. And try and get it, because when you get to the end, they'll say, well, the kid's used to this now. If we give him more time, he'll destabilise the kid. Kid's best interests, you're not going to get it. Time taken, time back is very different. That alternate weekend. So let's say at the end, you get the alternate weekend. So, Friday to Monday, whatever it may be. Well, that whole time, that investigation went 2, 3 years, whatever it was.
I've got a mate still going 6 years.
Well, there you go. Yeah, absolutely. 6 years. What's that done? Now, let's say he's found innocent and he's done nothing. It's not good enough, in my view, for us as a judicial sector and a legal sector whose duty it is to make sure that things are being balanced, okay? And if it is truly being balanced, what are we doing to address it? Again, it's not a criticism. It's about saying, I've identified a problem.
Here's a solution.
How do we – yes, here's the solution. I'm not telling you there's here it is and I'm having a big sook. I'm telling you, here's a problem. It's not just me, okay, because it's not me. I'm operating in that area.
I like this time taking time back, yeah.
So that's 6 years that the court said, you know what, I'm going to let this investigation go on. I want the police, I want, all the social and community services come back with their reports, 3, 4, 5, 6 years in this case. But then it comes back clear. Don't walk up to that dad and say, listen, water under the bridge, that kid's only known mum for 6 years. Let it be. No, what we're going to do now is we want some accountability. And we've got justice, because that's what we do, justice. Let's get, instead of that every second week, which is your orders, right? For the next 6 years, mate, you've got every weekend. Every weekend until that time that you lost because of those allegations comes back to you. Now we're back on even keel.
Because I think if a judge set an example out of someone, because that's what has to happen, right? Let's just say time taking time back gets put in place. Judge goes, bang, make up the case, righto, he's missed out 3 years of life, he's going to get it all back. Everyone else that's going through go, oh, I don't know if I want to be being exposed down that road. I might not be fabricating these allegations, because what if that happens to me? I've been in court for 8 years. What if they award the 8 years back? Yeah, I like that.
Yep. And don't get me wrong, like it's a massive cultural change. So lawyers and barristers are going, oh, that won't work. Well, it will work, okay, especially if our focus is on the best interest of the child. Because if that child's been dragged through some investigation where they're talking to all these strangers, what have you done to that child? What have you done to that child?
I hate that here in Australia, at least, that, every second weekend is like the standard accepted sort of culture for fathers. Like, I just thought, I don't want every second weekend. I want my daughter as much as I can. It's like, I don't know.
Well, you get significant, substantial time. That's the other side of it. And let's face it. A lot of times, the dad's out there, calluses on hands because he's building the house. He's building. He's also helping build a country, right? But also building a house metaphorically. You know what I mean? And mum's at home nurturing the kids, bringing them up, and that's sort of that traditional role. Obviously, people have different views, and I respect that. But that's their own choice. But dad goes away. So see, you got significant, substantial time, and I agree with you. Like in those instances, because if dad's away, long hours, how does he do it realistically? How does he spend that time? How does he? And we need to look at that too. But mum can also do that.
Yeah.
Why? So we go significant, substantial time. So during the week, say Tuesday to Thursday, dad's packing lunches, doing homework with the kid. The next week, he's got the weekend, Friday through to Monday. Is that making sense? So you kind of, the kid's seeing you during the week, and the next week on the weekends. I actually like that concept. Yeah. It's a good balance is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's a good balance, but the time taken, time back, I think is a crucial step we need to look at. And the other one that's actually been submitted to One Nation.
Yeah, nice.
okay, we've actually submitted. We drafted the bill. Obviously, Rob Garza had a really big input. Obviously, I changed it for the Australian standard because they've got. He
American
passed
standard.
it. Yeah, he passed it in Texas, so it actually went.
Oh,
through
so it's just a state in America that got passed, not
because their one's a state system. Their family law is a state system, not federalised.
So every state's different.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so ours is federalised.
Yeah.
Theirs is state based.
Okay.
And so in ours, the way we do it, obviously, it's a federal court section, and so it's a federal base, and that's the family court. That's its jurisdiction, and it overrides state. Over there, it's state based.
Which state is the best to be in America if you're going through family court?
Oh, no family court's good anywhere around the world. Yeah, no, it's none of it's good. And you know what? And kudos. A lot of judges will say thank you for settling the case. I didn't want to come to a decision.
Yeah, I do hear that.
Yeah,
they want you to settle.
Yeah, they want you to settle, and how that looks, minority cases will go there, but you can see the judges get torn too. And look, I do have a lot of sympathy for them, but
and they're so backlogged, right? So it's easier to want the ones that settle.
Yeah, they want that.
Yeah,
they want that. That's so I do a lot of mediations. I'm a family dispute resolution, and some people will say to me, "Mate, you just want me to say." I don't want you to, mate. I know what's going to happen to you down the track. I know what's going to happen to you. So let's talk about how we can resolve it. Where do we meet? I use the metaphor. You want to sell a Mercedes, the other person wants to buy a Mercedes. What are you going to do? You're going to, $100,000, no, $80,000, no, $70,000, no. So someone wants to buy it cheaper, someone wants to sell it for more. That's your negotiation, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
And even if there's a child in the middle, and again, it's just a metaphor example. How long is the kid going to be? Where and how do we get to that resolution? And that's where that's at. So the time taken, the time back is a very good concept, I think. And like I said, kudos to Rob and Ross, because we've all been working at the coalface of this for some time, and Rob is over in the USA making waves in the sense of family law reform, because he was a dad and he was a grieved father, 43 false allegations one by one. Every time he went in there and knocked one down, another one came. People like this, unfortunately, here in Australia and over there, he copped it just like Dad's copped it here. Oh, you're just an aggrieved father. Yes, I am.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. I've been let down by the system that's supposed to be, that says it's gender neutral, that says we don't look at, genders and sex and all. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
It does.
It does.
And I understand your concept of you wanting it that way. It is not working that way.
Because, there's biological advantages for women in family court because of the nurturing phase, right? Oh, I need to breastfeed every 1 hour. So you can only have your child for 1 hour, then I got to get it back, I was warned that before I started family court that, because your daughter's 6 months, that, they won't want to separate your daughter from the mum because of the nurturing phase. Mediation, I never did it. Correct me if I'm wrong, so I went straight to family court because there was DV in place. I think there was a exemption. There's a list of exemptions that bypass. Yeah. Well, what else is there exemptions?
You've got the exemption for the DV. Obviously, if one person doesn't want to, participate, then there's a whole list of them.
There's a list.
There's a whole list of them. But for
family court, just for viewers at home that might be going to family court, family court want you to do mediation before you start family court, right?
You've got to take genuine steps now.
Yeah, and then you get the certificate. What's it called?
Section 60I.
60I, yeah. I never did mediation, but for the viewers at home, what's a mediation look like? A day mediation?
Well, it all depends. Like, look, if it's a complicated case with property and parenting, and there's a really dichotomous argument that I run on this issue that somewhere down the track. But if you've got property and parenting, it might be a whole day, right? Because so half a day on the property. If it's pretty simple, you can sometimes these can be both knocked out in half a day.
How often would you say you get a simple one?
It goes south. It goes south real quick. But you know what? If you've got a really good mediator and you've got two lawyers who genuinely
want the best,
want to work together, and you will know, and the mediator will know too.
Straight away?
Oh, yeah, a really good mediator will see where the the speed humps are coming.
Yeah.
Okay, they'll see it in a really good like when I do it, I'll go in there with percentages.
Yep.
Okay, at this much, this is how much this is worth at this much. And so that mediator, when I give them that list, they go, mate, this guy's run through this with his client all the way. Said, where's your line in the sand? And the client will say, this is my line, but he's explained all these scenarios to me.
Mm.
And a mediator will see if the other lawyer's being a roadblock. Yeah?
Yep.
And they'll say, no. And the mediator say, give us 10 minutes. Go outside, they have a chat. Again, the mediator can't bind you to anything. So if you don't like what's being said there, you don't have to agree. It's not a court judgment.
Yeah, okay.
It's not a court judgment. But the beauty about mediation is you get to put your case. This is where you talk. And that's why I focus a lot on that resolving it before it gets really bad.
Of course.
And this is where you get to talk and you say, no, well, look, yes, when we met, we loved each other and yes, this is what happened. What hurt me is when you did this. You don't get to do that in a court.
Yeah, no.
This is what hurt me. And she'll say, well, this is why it hurt me. You know, you did this. And then you go, oh, man, I didn't realise that.
Now, would they, I assume if there's no DVs in place, is the mediation everyone in one room?
Even if there's a DV in place, you can still
Oh, do you? Because
you can still do it.
Oh, okay. Because, but wouldn't, because I was told that if there's DV, you have to sit in separate rooms and the mediator walks back and forth. And
yeah, you shuttle. You can do shuttles. Now a lot of people do them by Zoom, so you don't have.
But if they have the, I suppose when you're in court, you're sitting next to each other. Some people have the conditions you have to be 100 metres away from it. Well, obviously in family court, you're right next to each other. So obviously,
they come in with security. Have you seen those ones? They come in with security.
Oh, do you? No, I haven't seen that. No.
Oh, yeah. No, you do cases. And sometimes legit. And I've got a case where it's
real
absolutely,
okay.
Well, I'm representing the mother and it is absolutely atrocious what the.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And because it's going, I won't talk too much more.
Yeah, that's fine.
It was all over the media.
Oh, okay.
It was really bad. And they're ones, but then you get ones where they got, court security and, it's for.
Mediation. I've heard some mediation can be very expensive.
Yeah. Oh, much
is it a day rate, hourly rate?
Yeah, no, you kind of know. All right, so a mediator will give you and it depends which mediator you get. And don't quote me on this.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
I'm just going to give some approximate values. A mediator could cost, say, $5,000 to $10,000. The mediator. So depending. Now, 10's really experienced. That's usually you'll get them for the most complicated one. But, former ex-judges, former judges, former registrars, that sort of stuff. They do that. And they're really good at it because they kind of know, mate, if this went to court, this is where I think it's going to end up.
Yeah.
And they'll tell you. They tell you right there. They're not the judge. They just say, I think your case is strong here. I think it's weak here. I think your case is strong here. I think your case is weak. It's really good because both sides now get this unmitigated sort of opinion that if you're to go, this is where your problems are. I think you're going to get this. I think, can we just talk about it?
Yeah. For any fathers watching that might be going down the road and might be going to mediation, what should they expect or what could you tell them to help prepare for them for mediation? And two, if they are looking for a mediator, what type of mediator should they be looking for?
Are you looking for a family dispute resolution practitioner?
Okay.
I'm qualified in that area myself. I usually represent people in these and I use mediators, but I did all that and I'm accredited by the Attorney General, but it's because I want to know what's happening. I want to be able to talk to my client.
Yeah, okay.
I want to tell him or her and say, look, this is what we can expect. I don't know everything. No lawyer does. No judge does. It's just that what we do is we need to equip them with that process, and the courts appreciate it because you are taking load off the court. You're taking load off the taxpayer. You're taking loads off everyone, the community. So what do you expect? You expect an opportunity to be heard, number one. Okay. Number two, much cheaper. So you might pay $4,000 or $5,000 or $5,000 for the day for the mediator. They're paying $2,500. You're paying $2,500 for the mediator. Okay, split it.
Do you ever have the other party that refuse to pay, or say I can't pay? So the father have to pay for it all.
Yes,
does that happen?
Yeah, it does. And then there are other other ways about going about it, especially if one party's more resourced than the other one. And if there's a property involved or something like that, you say, okay, look, I'll pay for it today.
Take it off the...
Yeah, take it down. And you can talk to your client about that. And if they say, no, screw that, and you're kind of jeopardy, this is a good chance it could resolve. I always like that way forward, because what does the kid see? It hasn't been going a couple of months. This thing's been going for a couple of months. Mum and dad, they're arguing. I heard them arguing only a couple of weeks ago in the kitchen anyway, or a couple of months ago. It's fine. But you're not in an intracted and this protracted conflict where mum and dad are going at each other in the courts, and, now you get the alienation, you get the ADVOs. You can cut it off there at the pass, at the mediation. That's the good part about mediation. And like I said, I've done so many mediations where mum has said, this is what pissed me off about you, and this is where it got me, and then it just compounded, and you didn't do this and you didn't do that. And then dad comes out and goes, yeah, but, we've got to do this. I've got to pay these bills. I've got to do that. You're at home with the kid. I appreciate that, but who's paying the bills? I've got I've got calluses on my hands. I'm only doing that because I'm busting my ass to keep you and the kid moving. Now mum's getting this idea of, why is dad so removed? He's not removed from it. He's got that much love, and he's fighting that hard for his family. And this is what we miss. He's fighting that hard to keep that family going that he does miss it genuinely. He misses those emotional bonds and connections.
Yeah, of course.
And then the wife says, well, you don't have that emotional, and I'm not blaming her or him. I'm just saying, she then says, well, you could be with someone else, and you're not spending time with me and the child, and you don't love me anymore, and you're not spending time. So, and you can see where the problems start to fracture. And then from that, something small, like you didn't wash the dishes. Oh, you did this, and it just escalates.
Yeah.
But if you can hear that, whether it's on a Zoom or whether it's on something else, and at a mediation, you get a quick opportunity to do that. In a court, you won't do that.
Yeah, no.
They won't give it. They won't give a rat's, what. And so in those instances, it's cheaper. So, your lawyer's preparing for a mediation, which is, spreadsheets, and you're not going in arguing, talking about certain things, And you do give people, and mediation's a good time to use both to unload, not to say you're a dickhead or anything like that. It's unload that emotional thing that held you back, that you maybe didn't say, but now you can in the presence of your lawyers and a mediator. And that's the bonus of a mediator. And not all of them work, and sometimes you're doing 3 or 4, and they could cost you 10, 15 each. But if you look at the court case, hundreds of thousands down the track, and if you can cut it off at, say, let's say you did 3 mediations, it cost you 30, 35, 40 grand.
So it would have been cheaper than what you would have gone down family court.
Hell of a lot cheaper.
What do you do? I'm sure you've had a few, probably heaps, when you've just got one side that says no to everything. Nah, just doesn't budge. Obviously, they end up going to family court, right?
Yep.
If you've just got one party that says won't budge, won't move, won't take a backward step, then obviously is that where you, as a mediator, go, all right, here's your 60I certificate. We can't solve this.
Yeah.
Off you go.
Yeah, and in there, you got those little check boxes, made a genuine attempt, didn't make a genuine attempt.
Yeah.
And if there's, genuine domestic violence issues going on, obviously that's another scenario altogether. But as a mediator, family dispute resolution practitioner, even where there's domestic violence, or there was, or there's an allegation, you can still see your kid.
Yeah.
Why can't I see my kid?
Yeah.
Like, you're saying that, I yelled at you, or I didn't wash the dishes, or I threw a plate on the ground, and that, or I'm being financially coercive or controlling, because, you got the control coercion now. Those power imbalances within the home, yes, they do occur, obviously. They do occur, but does that mean now that I hold a kid away? I've got this hostage. Yeah, effectively it's a hostage. So I can now...
That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah, the kid's being held hostage. Right. And the system kind of moves around that, but why not? And this is what we look at. Okay, so there was no stabbings, shootings, and again, people say you don't need physical violence. You don't. because the emotional. Okay, so if that's the case, then why don't we meet at, say, a contact centre? You go in the back door 20 minutes early, drop the kid. I'll come 20 minutes later, pick it up from the door.
That's what I used to do. Yeah, we used to do handover contact centre and then leave. Mate, you mentioned before the 3 strike rule. If you can touch on that a bit.
Sure. It goes back to identifying a problem. Okay. Then rather than walking in and having people say, okay, you've got this problem you're having, here's another dad or a mum having a whinge. No. What do we do to fix it?
Yeah.
As you know, and I'm sure a lot of people who've been through the family process, orders are made.
Yep.
See dad, see mum, whatever it is. And again, it's very it's absolutely gender neutral. It's because it happens both ways, right? And what ends up happening here is there's 3 strikes. So you're supposed to bring him at 10 a.m. on a Saturday, and there's this. You've just been given orders, right? Yep. So you've gone through this, maybe spent 200 grand or 100,000, whatever it is. You've spent all this money. There's a breach.
I've been down this road.
What happens with a breach? How much does it cost?
Well, at that time, when she first breached, I was excited because I rang my lawyer. I said, guys, guess what? She didn't come to handover. You beauty. And he's like, you might want to take a seat. I'm like, what do you mean, mate? She's breached court order. He's like, yeah. I said, I assume, and this sounds silly, but, first, uncharted waters. I said, mate, tell the cops they're going to kick in the door. He's like, unfortunately, mate, that's not what's going to happen. We're going to have to do a contravention.
Application. Yeah.
Application. I'm like, what? What do you mean? I just spent all this money to get what I thought was hard, concrete, court orders. And so I'll might explain this wrong. He said, listen, we can put a contravention application in, but because we already had a court date coming up in like 4 weeks, he said it's easy. You're just going to have to cop it for the next 4 weeks and not see your daughter. She'll breach until then, but the judge will thank us for us not putting a contravention application in because he'll just address it then. Again, I didn't know what was going on. Nothing was making sense. I was just like, mate, this is bullshit. And I do remember when we went to court that day, he did say, he goes, thank you for not, I'm glad I don't have a contravention application in front of me. Thanks for that because it'll just be more paper. And he did address it on that. He beasted her. He said, don't you ever breach these court orders again. You've consented, you've signed them. And I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. But still, I was kind of like thinking, but yeah, sorry, mate. So,
no, 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Look at what it did to you.
That's right, But what if I didn't have a court date? What if I did? Was 3 months away? Or was I just going to?
Didn't have one at all.
Was I just going to file a contravention application? Yeah.
So let's look at the circumstance. Let's say there was a final order that was made and now with the orders being breached, you don't have another court date coming up.
Yeah, that's a good point. I haven't been down that road. So I've never
Secondly, I've been in courts where, and I appreciate what the judge, and because as lawyers, we got to, what's economical? Because people think, we're lawyers, we're just going to know. Us, the courts, all of us are thinking. So, you might, the client will come at you and say, well, mate, why aren't we doing, we're thinking, well, how much money is it costing to pathway A, those spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Where's pathway B going to take us? Where's C? And, you say it to your client, what? It's going to cost me another 30 grand to put on a contravention or 20 grand for a contravention application. I just got final orders. I've just spent 250 grand. You're telling me now to go and get a contravention application on, it's going to cost me 20, 30 grand. What did I just do all that for? And what's the court going to do to me? And you go, well, the court could give a warning. He goes, so I'm going to spend, he or she, I'm going to spend 20, 30 grand to get a warning.
Yeah, thanks.
And these are the issues we grapple with. So I say, okay, if that's the case, then again, with Rob over in Texas, having a nice meal talking about how this could work in Australia. And again, this isn't, I was talking earlier about ideology and political correctness.
Yeah.
A lot of what we see, that's the US and we're not the US, but that's not the problem, or that's not the issue. If there's a pragmatic solution and it makes sense and it's common sense, does it matter even if it's Swahili land it's coming from? It doesn't.
Yeah.
Let's look at the pragmatic, and then we put our Australian flavour to it. And in this sense, you get a contravention. So you've got your contravention. You've got your orders. This person breaches $500. Someone says, oh, $500. But that $500 fine is sending a message. Okay. The second one, you get another $500 fine. Okay. You could even, in Australia, you might say 1,000.
Yeah, well, I reckon make it double.
Okay. The third one, a referral to a criminal court on a summary jurisdiction. Okay. What is significant? It's not about a penalty. It's not about attacking the other side. Absolutely not. It's about accountability, and this is the cracker. It's about showing respect for the court. The court has given a final order, and you keep contravening and breaching. So what do we keep doing? We keep filing. Now, the bad part about it is this: the person or the parent who's actually been in compliance waiting for that kid to come is being penalised because now they have to spend more money again. They've got to get back into the system again. I've got to file an application. And back to that point where you were saying, look, thank you for not filing an application. You will get black letter law judges, okay? And those black letter law judges will say, thank you, I appreciate it, but where's my application? I'm not going to hear it. You know what to do. The procedure says for me to hear a contravention, I need an application and I want you to plead that application out. Where are we going to go? Well, what's your lawyer going to say? You know, like your client can walk up and say, well, mate, I wanted to do that and you told me to.
Yeah, okay.
Can you see where we grapple?
Yeah.
And so I know a lot of people look at us.
Is that a case? Is that a depending what type of judge you get type thing?
Yeah, it can vary.
Yeah, because I remember, I've said it multiple times before on podcasts, I remember my legal team said, let's just wait to see what judge we get because that's going to depend how we play our cards. I'm thinking, well, fuck, isn't that a red flag in itself? Shouldn't all judges just be black and white?
Personally, I would, I'd love to say, yeah, we'll address it there. Personally,
Might be risky.
Yeah.
You might get a judge.
I'd like to put on the application, plead it out. At least now you followed procedure and it's black letter law. It's like, it's there. It's now you must decide on this. Does it mean they're going to decide in your favour? Absolutely not.
Yeah, but
and
you follow procedure. Yeah.
But what do we do now with the 3 strikes rule? And it's actually I've submitted it to Senator Malcolm Roberts. He's doing some great work.
He is,
by the way. Yeah. So one day, Pauline Hanson.
I'd love to get Malcolm on.
Absolutely, mate. It's about bringing fairness into the system. It's not.
Yeah,
political thing. It's not left, right. You know what I mean? It's none of that. It's not blue, red. It's not. It's, we need to look at this to where there's confidence in the system. And you said it there a moment ago where, well, who do I get? Depends on how it's going to be treated. Well, that's not how it should be. I, as a lawyer, should be able to walk up to you and say, well, mate, the decisions around this area are saying this, this, and this. That's what we should be able to do. But really, you're walking up to your client, you're going, mate, if I file an application, it's going to cost you this much. And they're going to say, well, what do I get? Well, I don't know what you're going to get.
Yeah. Yeah.
It could go this way. It depends on how it's pleaded. If the other side's saying, well, oh, look, I'm a, single parent and this is what happened. This is what happened. Well, a lot of discretion can go to the judge on that basis. So, courtroom 4 identical cases could hand down this decision. Courtroom 5, identical case, totally opposite.
That blows my mind, that.
And I think it was Justice Edelman of the High Court. I think it was Radvar. I'll send you the case name. But, to the extent, I can't quote it because it's in there, and Janet Albrechtsen wrote about it recently after the Bondi shooting. But he said, what's happening is on Monday a judge is making a decision. On Tuesday, that judge doesn't look at what happened on Monday. Different courts. So he's in the High Court, so he sees everything. Yeah. And all the cases that get appealed to the High Court. On Wednesday, we'll get a different decision. Thursday's court case will go, oh, let's do what Monday did. Come Friday saying, let's do what. As a lawyer or as a legal practitioner, it makes it very hard for us to walk up to our client and say something, but then the client looks at you going, oh, mate, you should know. Well, we know how to manoeuvre. We know how to do that. We know procedure. Like I said, I'd put on an application for a contravention. I wouldn't try and list it there because just turn around and say, well, no, put the application on, come back in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So they're the sorts of things. But the 3 strikes rule takes power. It doesn't. You always want to have the judge with discretion, but it gives judge a more narrowed view of discretion. Okay, with all these contraventions. Not only that, is the contravening party pay costs.
Yeah.
Take that out of Section 170 because you know what happens in family law. Everyone pretty well pays their own costs unless there's misleading, deceptive, or someone's being malicious. You don't really get costs. But if they make you do that and they're the ones contravening, why should you be penalised?
That's right.
You shouldn't be penalised.
That's right.
You should not. So I've added. So on top of Rob's one over there, I actually added a carve out provision onto our costs. So I actually added that into the new bill. So that bill's now with Senator Roberts. I'm sure their legal teams are looking at it. So I've done all the drafting, obviously working closely with Rob, but just tweaking it for Australia. Then I added some Australian context because I spoke to former registrars and they're going, this will be really good, Tony. You know why? Because you're actually addressing potential contempts of court, and the court should crack down on contempt, and they're not. They're not. And he said, as a registrar, I'm not going to name who they are. They said, as a registrar, this matters a lot to the court. And so the judges actually want something like the politicians aren't giving them the tools.
Yeah.
So what we did in conjunction, with what we got there and blended it for the Australian version, is saying, well, there's your problem, but here's your solution.
Yeah.
So it's not just a problem. Now it's a solution. Now that might get their minds working and judges get together on this new bill and with, the politicians and go, oh, yeah, what can we do to help this? Because what are the flow-on effects, not just to the parent? What's the taxpayer doing? He's now got to pay more for the courts to operate, court staff, applications.
Yeah.
The costs are just enormous. And what else? The judge's docket now gets bigger, and the judge is going, why am I actually hearing something that I ruled on 2 weeks ago?
Yeah, that's right.
Why? Why aren't we penalising that person for putting that dad or that mum through that process?
I reckon I love the 3 strike rule. I'd reckon I'd make the second strike, say $2,500, just because let's just say there's some people out there that would go, I don't care, I'll just strike out twice on purpose, just to be a pest. Oh, I'm happy. But then the third time they'll pull back. But I thought, you know what? All right. Well, the second time, your first one's $500, second one's $2,500. You really want to push the boundary, and then obviously the third one you're done. But I do like that.
But what happens there is to see the first one. That's where the discretion of a judge may go. You know what? It's not good what you did, right, but you're going to pay their costs. You don't have to pay the $500 fine, but you're going to pay his costs because you did this, or her costs because you did this. And that's something that
which would be more than 500 anyway.
Absolutely. Now, as a lawyer, I can walk up to you and that client says, "Well, I'm not going to bugger him or her, bugger mum or dad. I'm not going to take him over this week." The lawyer will now say, "Mate, if you do that,
the duty of care type thing."
Well, the lawyer has to advise you if the 3 strikes is in. The lawyer would have to say to you now, "Yeah, you can do that." I wouldn't, because number one, it's a contempt. Your first strike, it's your first strike. It's a contempt because now we know it's written in the law and it's amending the law the way it really is. So now that lawyer will be categorically, how we were saying a moment ago, did you put the application on? Did you not put the application on? Categorically, that lawyer can now give really solid advice to that person. Say, not only is it a potential contempt, which really it is, you can get a fine. You're going to go down as a first strike. Yeah? Second strike, whether it's 500, 3,000, could be 10,000, who knows? It'll go down there. But what's happening is your name is now going on a federal register, and that federal register is logging every contravention of that 3-strike policy. So it doesn't matter, so one party runs off to Brisbane or, from New South Wales or over to WA, whatever. WA is a different provision altogether over there.
I've heard that,
Yeah, slightly different what's happening over there. But wherever they run off to, you see, it'll get into a federal register and they can look it up and say, oh, this is their second strike. This is their third. This is their third offence. Let's bring them in. Now, it does happen in Australia where judges have said, bring them in. I want a warrant for their federal family court. I want a warrant for their arrest. I want a warrant. It does happen, but it's an extraordinary measure. and we're not honing in on that. Now, if you want to cut costs, cut the red tape that goes around the law, you want to get more precision in advice, and you want courts to be less loaded up, the taxpayer less loaded up, because now they're not. This is a win-win for everybody. The kid now knows I'm with mum or I'm with dad on this date. That's it.
Yep.
It's going to happen. And if it doesn't happen, this is it. And mum or dad don't just pay the $500 fine. They're looking at potential court costs to prepare and file the application. And the judge is now taking a little bit out of Section 117, which is the cost provision, says, no, you made the person do it, you pay their cost. That's just black and white. I've just ruled on your case.
Yeah,
Look
that's
what
right.
you're doing.
Taking the piss.
And that's the problem. So there's more to it, and I'll happily, I've got, like I said, I know One Nation's really looking into it. I know there's, interest from the Libs as well, the Liberal Party. Unfortunately, ALP at this stage, they're more ideologically driven. They look at more around the philosophy of ideology, how it looks. No, mate, we want practical solution. I don't care about how it looks. That's not what we're here for, because, little Johnny, little Susie, who's sitting in the middle, what's she looking at? Well, she's looking at, I'm being torn apart, and it's the system. It's not mum or dad. It's the system that's allowed mum or dad to act in this way. We just got to close that door, or make it even more confined. So you never want to take a judge's discretion away. I'd never propose that. So you must do this. You must let them say, hang on a second, this isn't right. And the first one where it says you may get that, it'll go down as a strike. But, look, mum was, dad was, caught in traffic and, the flights. And there
might be a legit reason.
Absolutely.
Someone got rushed to hospital.
Absolutely. And there's a reasonable excuse, and there's a reasonable excuse provision in this. Okay. So it sort of shows you, we did sort of, I've tweaked the Texas one. Texas was passed. But I've tweaked it to an Australian version in consultation with other people. And now that's in there. Now I've got, like I said, hopefully One Nation. I know they've got a lot of interest in it. And I know there's another Liberal senator who's really interested in it. So, if we can get that sort of stuff and, time taken back. Yeah. If we can get that sort of stuff across, I think everyone will be a lot better for it. Taxpayers, the resources, but parents and also kids.
Before I forget, you mentioned WA, and I've had a follower comment one time saying it's different in WA, and I didn't reply, but I thought, what's going on in Western Australia that the family court's different?
Yeah, well, that's got to do with a federation separation there between WA and the states. WA likes to see itself as a breakaway type state.
Okay.
And don't get me wrong, they've got a Family Law Act, and they're pretty similar in the way they do it, but it's totally different jurisdiction in the sense of the way they operate. So
the Family Law Act, 1975?
It's different. They've got a different.
Okay.
Yeah, theirs is different. So if you were to go over there, don't get me wrong, the principles are very similar. Yeah, like, best interests and all that sort of stuff.
So how did that come around? Like,
well, if you look at the crimes, things like that. WA borrows a lot from Queensland.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, WA is like can you call it this? It's a part of the federation and the states, but it's in itself. It looks more to itself and that has to do with how it evolved. But in their system, again, it's very similar but different. I could still go there and practice and understand by reading their laws, because it's be very similar. But again, it is different to an extent, and the difference of that is a whole podcast itself. But yeah, they are slightly different.
When you went through family court back, what year was that? Can you remember?
Oh gosh, it started in about 2009.
2009. Okay. Can you see any differences? Has it bettered from when you're practicing in 2026 now? Like, it hasn't changed, right? Oh no, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
No.
Even when you went through as a father, Has there been any changes?
I remember back then, and I was, as a dad, I was looking at these groups, and I'll touch on those groups really briefly, but had dads in distress. And
I've had a few people mention that, yep, dads in distress.
Yeah, back then.
Yep.
And they're good to sort of tap into, get an understanding, but what we don't have here in Australia, and it disappoints me quite a bit, is a lot of father services, father-centric.
So my partner, she just got her charity registered, so she wrote a constitution, being accepted. It's called Men's Emotions Matter Movement.
Mm-hmm.
I think now she's waiting for the ACNC. This is above my pay grade. I'll get lost in it. But first thing she wants to do is get a DV shelter for men, because there's no DV shelters in Australia for men. It's all for women. I could be wrong, but as far as I know, there isn't.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, she wants to get some services for men because, for women, there seems women's legal service, there's this, there's that, there's shelters, but for men.
Minister for women,
but for men, what is there?
Yeah, but remember, it's gender neutral, right?
Right. Exactly. So
we're gender neutral.
It's
not. The system itself shows and exposes the. And again, I don't attack any side because I represent both.
Yeah,
and I don't have a bias. My duty is to the client, right, and representing to the best of my ability in court. But when a guy gets done for DV, what happens? They come and rip him out of the house.
Yep. You pack your things, but it's my house. Sorry, mate. You got to go.
Where do you go?
Put all your kids' names now on the DV. Can't see your kids. Where do you go? Nowhere. I have fathers message me how he's sleeping in the car. Like, they'll message me and my pun, like, I don't know where to go, sleeping in the car. It's just like, yeah.
But you're touching on something that's needed.
Absolutely.
It is desperately needed, not just needed, but desperately needed. And look, I worked in that enforcement sector. Again, I wasn't a sworn officer, but I used to always see guys, well, where do I go tonight? And the cop says, I'm sorry, I can't help you.
Yeah.
He goes, but, I can't even go to get my car. Where do I sleep on the street? He goes, I don't know where you go. You ring up someone.
Don't even have a pamphlet to give you. Yeah, exactly. I don't know one. There is no one to ring.
There's no assistance there. And you know where they usually get you. They go, oh, but and the stats are the stats, but men are the overwhelming perpetrator of domestic violence, and well, that's not necessarily translates into causation of the whole world collapsing around that, does it? No, it doesn't, because at the end of the day, what are the levels of those? Is it a case of, hey, piss off, leave me alone, I'm watching telly, or because that's that. And then you've got the severe violence, right? Which is one of those cases that I'm currently on, which is very serious. Yeah. And I don't doubt that. But then I see very, very minute ones, but then you actually look at it and they're being prodded.
So what's your thoughts on this? So Pauline Hanson, she brought up what she thinks, and I actually agree. So with DV, you can slap, like, in my opinion, in our current climate, everything seems to be DV.
It is.
My lawyer gave a good example. He said, if you're at home and you put the TV remote control too high for your partner to grab, DV. Like,
everything's just coercive.
Everything's just DV, right? So, and, I'm the first one, before I even was a father, like, if I saw a guy and someone said there was a DV on him, I'll be the first one to put my hand up. I thought, woman basher. Now I've been through the system, I'm like, there's always two sides of the story. I'm not going to make that judgment. But Pauline Hanson brought in this, there should be like a tier rule, like a three-tier rule. Like a tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Like, if you got a DVO put on you, well, what type of DV? Is it just for sending a text message? Like there's, I think there was stalking, maybe physical and like intimidation. And I thought that's actually not too bad because, you could be slapped with a DVO, but you're going to get labelled with the most, brutal thing that someone could think of. But really, you got a DVO put on you because, I don't know, you put a TV control too high to ground, so I don't know what your thoughts on that are. Like, maybe, because it's just so easy to have a DV slapped on you these days, and it's very easy, let's say you lose your job or you get your weapons taken off you and something. Maybe it's like, okay, well, what type of DV is it? Is it tier 1, tier 2, tier 3? Okay, well, we're not going to take your weapons licenses because it was just for, I don't know, sending a text message, but it's crazy that, I still can't get over that once a DVO is on you, once you breach it, there's guys in prison for replying to a text message because they breached a DVO. I'm just thinking, me, like, imagine sitting in prison for replying to a text message. Do you reckon that's practical? Like trying to
the solution,
like
yes.
So categorize the DDVOs like a category 1, category 2, category 3. I don't know.
Well, it touches a little bit on what I spoke about earlier with respect to the mediation, where there could be domestic violence, but we can mediate it by saying you come in the front door, go out the back door. 20 minutes later. So there's a gap.
Yeah, window. 15, 20 minutes safe
That's
window.
right. Now, if that was one of those ones that I'm talking about where there's media attention and, there was a siege and all that, you don't even want nowhere near. You don't want kids nowhere. Yeah. So violence is a very serious issue, and I know you think the same way, and I'm not putting words in it. I know most, if not all, or a very small minority would say, oh, look, it does happen. But for us, it's a very serious issue. Now, it goes both ways. It doesn't go one way. And the tiered system, that's effectively as a dispute resolution practice, that's a tier, isn't it? It's like, okay, we've got that, and here's the other tier where you wouldn't go nowhere near it. But you can take that a little bit further, which is you can implement these, and I'll give you a story. And this is a real life story. Real life, did the case. Because I do a lot of crime, we're really high, especially in ADVOs and things like that against guys, obviously most of them. I've actually done them with ladies too. We're there. So it's not one-way traffic.
Yeah, of course.
That's why I say what I say. And as a criminologist, I know that's what the statistics are telling us. And this is a real case, and we're hitting around a high 99% mark of getting all these quashed off these, but they've got to go through a process. The process could take 8 months, 12 months, whatever.
2 years, yeah.
And this is a case, real life scenario. Went to the court. He hasn't seen his kids in 3-4 years. He's got another family lawyer for that, but he comes to us for all criminal stuff.
Yep.
Yeah. And he sent his kids, who around Christmas, just after Christmas, New Year's is one of their birthdays. He sends a Christmas card with a happy birthday message saying,
I already know this.
Daddy loves you. I miss you a lot. I hope one day I can see you again. That's the message. He went to court.
Yeah, I knew where that was going. So his stories like this, it's just...
He was put on a bond. So the letter of the law says sentence him. But the magistrate looks and goes, and our view is, what was Parliament's intention here? How is this being abused? And not the court. How is it being abused? So you go to the police officer. The police officer goes, I don't want nothing to do with this. I want the courts to make the decision, because if something goes wrong, they're going to come running to me. What's the magistrate saying? Well, I need to give a sentence, because if something goes wrong, the media's coming after me.
Yeah.
But the intention of when you read the bills and that, what's their intention? Well, causing fear, violence. That's what it's supposed to address. Where does it say in there, sentence this man for sending a birthday card saying I love you?
I know, right?
It's the contact part. The contact was, I contacted that child. That's the letter of the law. But thankfully, we do have magistrates, courts, and to recognize it. I've done cases where police officers are being on restraining orders and ADVOs. They're getting called out for these things. I've got a case of an 85-year-old man right now. He wears an alarm, in case he falls and he's on a thing. Yeah. And guess where that's going? That's going in the family court.
Oh, Jesus.
Again, love, and second something's happened. This guy, he's got Parkinson's. How are we doing this?
Yeah, I know.
And this is the ideology that I talk about. And that's where, again, I don't like talking left and right, but the left is really pushing this ideology. And we as, honest, law-abiding citizens, because I'll tell you, I maybe ask the question to you, is sending an I love you, technically it is a breach, okay, I'll say that. But really, did it violate something You know what I mean? What has it violated? You know, and that kid.
Did it hurt or harm anyone? Touch on something then. My brain was going all over the place. I've heaps of supporters buy my merchandise. My father is currently in supervision contact centre. Still going through matters. He wears my Broken Fathers podcast T-shirt to his visits. Got his supervision contact centre notes subpoenaed or handed over for his court. And the supervisor said that the father wears his Broken Fathers podcast shirt, which is passive aggressive. Wrote that in his notes. And I just thought, that's ridiculous. That's the other thought I had. I had a father share one of my posts. Bear in mind, this post was an animation cartoon. I actually downloaded it off TikTok. It talked about family court, and I uploaded it on my page. So it wasn't actually me. It wasn't me talking. It was a cartoon. I downloaded it off some TikTok's page. Actually, has a person's TikTok handle in there, and then he shared it. Now, his ex tried to breach him for it, sharing a post from my page. Yeah, it got dropped. But I'm just thinking, how did it even get to that stage? It went to court, but I mean, he got it thrown out. But I mean, how did it even get there? You know, like I just
Good question. I literally don't know.
Yeah.
And again, it's you know, I'm not in that case, but you know, everything I talk about is legal advice either.
Yeah, of
it's
course.
just, you know, a little bit of experience mixed with some real case scenarios.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's a lot of your listeners will go, mate, I'm feeling this.
Yeah, I've been in the same shoes, same boat.
Absolutely. And so, you know, in that case that you're talking about there, well, it's all going to come down to how the courts treat that process. And again, you'd want to think that there's a measure of responsibility there, and you know, sharing a post, or is that post targeting that person?
Well, that's right. Fair enough if it was a post about me saying, like, you know, or the post was targeting violence or saying do this, but it was literally a cartoon, animation cartoon, no swearing, no nothing, just talking about, you know, they're talking about how they believe the family court system is broken. And they just reshared a post. And yeah.
It's ridiculous. And you know, wearing a broken father's podcast. Well, this is the failure. Okay, we would have less broken fathers if the system worked.
I agree. I had a broken father. Wore his T-shirt, my T-shirt to court, and her legal team, so his ex's legal team, brought it to the judge. The judge didn't even know, you know, because at the front you're just going to see this, like you won't see the big logo in the back. So his ex's legal team brought it to the attention of the judge and asked, he's wearing this Broken Father podcast T-shirt. We want him to remove it. Now the judge told him to leave the room and remove it, but I mean, the judge wouldn't even known anyway if he'd think. But yeah, I just thought
that's ideology,
right? You know, do you tell me what's passive aggressive about this? The untold truths about fathers in the Australian family court.
Well, is this not? Again, this is where the left says you're a right-wing extremist if you say it. No, this is a legitimate grievance, and in a participatory democracy. And now we're talking about a participant. I can only participate if I've got a voice. And if you remember early on in the podcast, I was talking about patriotism. Stand up. Again, you're being vocal, okay? If it means a T-shirt, well, it's not a T-shirt that's got expletives on there.
Right. These days, you wear your Australian flag, racist.
Yes.
Like, what? Hold on a sec. We wear it on our patch on our Australian uniform.
Mm-hmm.
I think even now they ask it, like, where did we go wrong? Like, everyone has pronouns, everyone gets offended. Comedians are going to be out of a job soon. Everyone gets offended. Like, everything is just gone too far. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like,
no, it has. You don't need to explain it.
You know,
it's
what I mean?
doing it. Like, look at that.
Yeah, racist.
Hold the line. There's our Southern Cross.
What's that new law
What
they
does it
brought
say?
in?
We the people.
What's that new law they just brought in? They just
Which one? The hate speech and all.
They just to put they charge someone
anti-Semitism and all that sort
for
of.
having the tattoo.
Oh yeah, the Nazi symbol, the SS.
Yeah, totally. Think, you know, like
hate speech.
Yeah, deport them or charge them. Just oh my god.
No, look, everything has a limit. It doesn't matter what it is. Water. If I just sat here and drank water all day,
Yeah, of course.
And look, there is, and I guess that's the debate they have all the time. But when people are rising up, they're rising up for a reason. What are one of the issues? You and I, if married, we said to our partner, "Shut up and sit in the corner, don't move." Are you going to get charged? You're going to get charged. You can make controlling, coercive, you're controlling them, financial control, all that, right? Walking out there and saying to someone, this is what I want to do, effectively and metaphorically, they're pushing you into a corner saying you can't do that because this is what we're going to do to you and you're going to be penalised for doing it. But yet you reside in a participatory democracy, and a participatory democracy allows you to participate.
Oh, did you see that video uploaded yesterday? It wasn't my videos. Mothers of Sons made it, and it was like a piss take ad of a female. She had like a Kleenex bottle, but on the Kleenex bottle it said coercive control, and just took the piss out of, does he do this? It's all good. It's all good if he hasn't been violent, or we've got coercive control laws. And I shared in it. It was funny, but it was sad, and it was true because they were taking piss out of the coercive control because, it seems everything's coercive control these days.
It is.
Right.
Asking you to do something that's controlling.
Right. So, and I just feel I don't know if you agree with this, but as a male or father in this country, you're entitled to nothing really. I feel like fathers don't have rights, or even men in this country. And there's all these incentives and government funding and support for females. And again, this is not my Broken Fathers podcast page isn't about a gender divide. But I do raise issues that, well, where's all the support for men in this country? I feel we're oppressed, and
you are hitting something that, in my view, and is my view,
the epidemic.
It is absolutely something that is necessary for our society. Okay, we are not hearing it. We need to hear it, and the only way you can participate in your democracy is by having a voice. You're giving people a voice, and all you dads out there, get involved, have a voice. Just don't go violent. That's it. And when I talk, Molotov cocktails, turning that's not happening here. We're addressing systemic issues. Okay, you had Pauline Hanson on. Look, I'm on here. You've had other guys from, I believe, the ADF, and I work with police officers. Very patriotic. Love this country. Next to their 9mm, their Glocks, and you've got the Australian flag. You've got the ADF going and representing this country. They're putting everything on the line. Yeah. And it infuriates me when they want to have a voice, which is what they're fighting for.
That's right.
And you've got the cops out there on the beat, they don't know what they're hitting next. Are they going to get shot at? Are they going to get We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. But yet when they get up and they say, this is what's happening to me, you know what, get stuffed, go and sit in the corner. No, screw you. We're going to fight harder. And that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Yeah, bloody oath.
I'll fight harder, mate. You knock me down 8, I'm going to get up 9. I don't care. You can whoop me, babe. I'm getting up 9 times. You get me down 9, I'm going to get up 10.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to keep coming, because at the end of the day, the only way we're going to make a difference is if we stand up and we respect one another.
Yeah, that's right.
Because we're not respecting. If you've got a broken father, and it's because there's a systemic issue, and the bigger that group and make it big. Yeah. Make it big.
Numbers and power, the voice.
Absolutely. Yeah. A really good comparison is the firearms, the laws after Bondi. Yeah. I'm a firearms owner.
Yeah.
I store them somewhere else, but I'm a big, fan. I looked at the Texas gun laws, by the way. Texas.
So they're concealed, Texas?
Oh, yeah, you can have concealed carries. Yeah. And as silly as it sounded, if you had concealed carries at Bondi that day, that would have finished in 1 or 2 minutes.
I think all general duty coppers should at least have an M4 in the boot as well.
But know how to use it.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure New Zealand, don't quote me, I might get it wrong, but I've just spoken to some Kiwi friends, and one used to be a Kiwi cop, and he said, we used to, even as general duties, we'd always just have an M4 in the boot. That would have been a perfect example, perfect scenario. Not perfect, a sad scenario, but a scenario where it would have been very helpful.
It's a good example as to how where it could have been ended so much quicker.
Doesn't mean general duties will walk around the cops with an M4, but they've got one in the boot, at the ready, good to go, in case a scenario like this happens.
Absolutely. And I'm a big guns advocate, and we had Chris Minns, the New South Wales Premier, came out and said we need to ban all belt fed shotguns. I said, you find me a belt shed.
Yeah. But what's your thoughts on Albanese out of that whole Bondi incident? He's like, we need to stricken gun laws.
No.
No.
I'm totally against it. And the point I raised here with Broken Father, again, there's no connection. But the point I'm raising there is see what happened when they affected the rights of that group. Mate, so many gun owners are up there now, and I'm one.
Yeah,
I make no bones about it. I get up and I say, I'm with these guys, okay, because we're law-abiding citizens.
Yeah.
We're doing what you're asking. These guys are law-abiding citizens. They go to work. They pay their taxes. They do this every day, and they're getting penalised, okay? And if you look at the group over here that's affecting these guns, right, well, they're the crims.
Well, wasn't old mate, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't old mate on the ASIO watch list?
Yes.
At the time that he applied for the gun licence? I can't remember.
No, I don't know if he was. I don't know the ins and outs, the discrete parts of it. But the boy was. The other one got on. He was on there for 3 years. The application that came on came off. These are issues. This is why I want an investigation.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
Get to
the bottom
it's
of
not just stricken gun laws. Well, hold on. If I don't know the ins and outs as well either. But like, let's just say, for example, and I might have this wrong. He was on the ASIO watch list when he applied. Again, I don't know if that's correct. Well, you should be reviewing the ASIO, not freaking gun laws. Who approved this when he was on the watch list? Again, sure. I don't know if he was on at the time.
No, my understanding is you're pretty close to the mark. Again, I don't have it confirmed in front of me. I'm not going to say 100%, but you're pretty accurate as to the information we have at hand, and that's a fair analysis. And
guns don't kill people. People with guns kill people. It's no different to a hammer. A hammer just doesn't get up and kill someone. It's the person who's operating. So did those tools get put in the wrong people's hands? Well, obviously, but even the media, even yesterday, last night I was at work and had the photo of the son and said, you might be able to touch on it, the alleged Bondi shooter. I'm thinking, what do you mean alleged Bondi shooter? The whole world knows he was a Bondi shooter. You just turn on the TV. Like, why are they using the word alleged? Is it a legal thing because it's ongoing?
It'd be more of a legal thing, meaning that he's presumed innocent until proven.
Okay, because I'm just thinking, really alleged? Like, come on.
So they'll make the allegation here. The facts.
So it's because it's an ongoing court matter. They have to. Okay,
they've got to say alleged.
Okay.
Again, but again, that same standard is not coming in ADVO cases. Mate, the second they make a complaint, mate, you're guilty, mate. You're a woman basher.
Oh yeah, that's right. You know what I mean? They won't use alleged. They'll just say woman basher.
Yeah, that's it. Give you an AEA. But that's the sort of stuff we're looking at. And so when you look at that side of things, again, they're two different subjects. But I'm just drawing the analogy to say that that group, the firearms group, very responsible, law-abiding, loving family citizens, mate. If you had some concealed, I know it sounds really weird, but if you had concealed carries out there, that would have ended so quick. Mate. That would have ended so quick right there, right? And responsible, law-abiding citizens, accredited, endorsed. I've got endorsements, mate. I've got a 2-inch grouping, and I've got vermin pest control. I've got all that, mate. And I do the safety courses, and I do all that.
All the boxes,
and I go out there and I do my shots and hit target. But they're the guys who are getting penalised. The girls and farmers rely on all this. But I think going back to where that group, this group, any group that forms has a legitimate voice. Yeah. And it's that voice we need to embrace. And so when I see this and someone's like, oh, but you're involved, well, good. That's because something's failing. Yeah. Something's failing. And we should address it, and we need to address it diplomatically and politically and find out, well, what are the best ways? And, the time taken, time back, 3 strikes, we may need to amend them. Let's amend them. But let's take workload off the judges. Let's take, resources so taxpayers can have a more efficient economy. We're not funding things that are irrelevant, and we just keep putting people in this never-ending cycle of family law. Yeah. Why are we doing that if we can provide these solutions? And in Texas, when I spoke to Rob, he goes, breaches have gone down. The 3-strike policy. Now a lawyer can walk up to the client, mate, if you do it, you're in big trouble. Yeah. If you breach, you're in big trouble.
Would you, I say the family court system is broken. Would you agree on that statement?
Needs repair.
Needs repair?
It needs repair.
Why is it?
Do you call it broken? Sorry.
No, you're.
I'd say
It needs
fractured.
repair, fracture, right? Why is it that everyone seems to know, believe, or feel that the system needs repair? Whether it's speaking to police officers, lawyers, barristers, senators, retired family court judges come out and say it. Now that why do they come out when they say it when they're retired?
Mm.
You know, if you Stuart and Lindsay, or there's a few others that are retired, they come out and say the family court system broken. Well, why aren't you saying it while you're practicing? I assume because you're practicing, you're making good money, whatever, blah blah blah. But if you've even got retired family court judges coming out and saying it needs broken and needs repair, why hasn't it been repaired? Like, why doesn't it? It seems like no one wants to touch it, and media, I get whatever closed corporation, but no, it seems like this is this big broken system, but no one wants to touch it.
Political and image and optics, right? And again, they may perceive what you and I are saying, oh man, look at these right-wing fruit. It's not. And I'll give you the analogy as to why I think it's there. And I don't call it broken. I see it as something that can improve. So let's be optimistic. That's how I look at it. And I say, can it? Hell yeah. Heck yeah, it can improve.
How do we improve it?
Okay, so we need pragmatism. Okay, we need to look at the problems and what are the solutions.
How do you? Because I actually don't know, and I'm sure what would be the way to repair the system? Because there's an act in place right now. There's bills, amendments. How would you have to scrap the whole act and start again? I generally don't know. Like, how would you repair the system?
No, you make amendments. Number one, you'd make amendments.
So the act stays the same, but you make amendments.
You would, but remember, there's some really good part. I mean, like the Family Law Act in itself being there is really good. I'm against some of the things, such as, if you look at, say, the property law stuff, like all of a sudden, non-financial contributions and financial contributions. See that?
Yeah, and I think China or some country just passed a law that whatever you guys had before your marriage is yours. Anything you touch or anything you build together, I think that's great.
Yeah.
Well, and how did the whole super thing come out? How did the whole all right, what's the percentage? 80, 70%? Like
it all depends. Like percentages, and like some people work percentages, some work numbers. It's how you want to do your case.
I just don't get it. Like, fair enough.
12% super is what you put in, is what you're saying.
Yeah. But fair enough if your wife didn't work for 20 years and okay, fair enough, she didn't work. But there's a lot of couples out there that they've both worked their whole life. I'm just thinking, well, your super's your super. My super's my super. We've both worked for it. Just let it be. I don't understand why. Well, sorry, you got to hand over X, Y, Z.
Mate, you get people, and it's a lot of guys. I'm not saying everyone, obviously. Some guys, you're talking, they go, mate, I never want to get married again. And get some ladies going, well, I met this really nice guy, but he's just totally emotionally detached. He doesn't. Well, why?
Well, that's the majority of comments, and I'll categorize. And obviously, the most category that I get of comments is, I've been through family court. This is what happened to me, blah, blah, blah. The second category is, this is why I'll be single for the rest of my life, or this is why I'll never have kids. And I don't blame them, because they're looking at what their mates are going through. They fought for their kids. They lost their kids. They lost their house. They lost this. They lost their super. And it's like, well, that's not very enticing. Why would I want to go fall in love or be with someone? Because if it turns south, I'm probably going to lose everything too. So,
and that's
and is that where do we have a population problem now?
Yes.
See,
that's the problem. And so that's an identified systemic thing. Don't get me wrong. Look, if you're married, you've been married 25, 30 years. Your kids are in their 20s. There's a divorce there. Usually they're a bit more amicable, those types of ones, because you kind of lived with it. It can, like I said, there'll be a percentage. Don't quite the exact thing, but that's one where mum got up at 2 a.m, breastfed that kid, and dad got up at 6 a.m. and came back at night, calloused hands, building the home, building the land, doing all that sort of stuff, and that you understand, because there's those contributions. She wasn't bringing home, but she was making the house, wasn't she? I think that's fair. That side's fair. But if someone wants to come in and just use that as their pretext to say you're my investment tool,
that's right.
That's where we got to draw the line.
Yeah, I think there's some women out there that are just looking for a free meal ticket. You know, they just don't want to work,
They don't want to build a nest, but they want a full nest.
right? And what's
Not all of them. Can I just say?
no? Yeah, of course, not all of them. 100%. You know,
And
100%.
there's some sugar mamas out there and sugar
Yeah,
daddies. let's say.
Hey, you're a sugar mama. Go for it. Good on you. But you know, the next generation of women coming through, it's like the 18, and they're going straight to OnlyFans. And each their own. How you make your money is none of my business. But it's like 18. Like, are you really thinking this through? And it's like normal. It's like, oh, it's normal. It's like back in the day, like, what's your Instagram? Now it's like, oh, what's your OnlyFans? You know, it's like.
But what about this? And I'm making this just.
Yeah.
We're talking about this subject, right? Okay. And it's maybe one. And again, it's pretty orthodox. So I think about things that are orthodox, but also looking at pragmatism. And one of the best ways to do it is open up consultation and open up questions. So you've got the contributions, financial and non-financial. All right, so that's recognised. This is how they do it. Where's dad's contribution to the kids? Not recognised straight away. He's not the primary carer. He's the secondary carer. And just look at the terminology. You know, primary. I love my kids just as much as my wife.
Yeah, of course.
Why haven't we got these presumptions in place and rescinding this presumption of equal shared parental responsibility? And like, don't I have a right to raise these kids? Don't I have a right to be in these kids' lives? That we keep forgetting. Like, okay, it's okay for property. The second I get into the parenting side, all of a sudden, where's my contribution as a dad? I'm not even recognised.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Can you see the
fathers are treated as second-class citizens?
Mate, it's right there in front of us.
Yeah.
It's literally right there in front of us in the same act. That here, everything's even. Here, no. And I'm not saying, only dads, because I've done cases where, mums threaten, drive kids into rivers. But you don't see that.
Yeah, that's right.
You won't see that.
That's another thing. Like, there was a fair few deaths last year where mothers had killed their kids. But the media, maybe an article here and there.
It doesn't fit.
And if it is online, the comments are turned off. Have you noticed that? Comments, if it's a father, comments not turned off.
It's a narrative and it's an official thing.
Every channel will be on it.
That's right.
But if it's mother that does it.
It's unfortunate.
Yeah, filicide was something I learned last year. I didn't know that was a thing. Filicide, I think I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, I only learned about that last year. Mate, child support. You know much about that broken system as well?
Yeah, look.
You get a lot of fathers struggling with that?
Yeah, I did it.
That's a whole other beast.
That's a podcast in itself.
That's a podcast in itself.
It is, but that needs fixing.
That needs fixing fast.
Big time. I did a case, it was actually in Brisbane. So I've got offices everywhere. Serves Sydney's where the predominant one is. Client lived in Darwin. The court was in Brisbane. The mother lived in Sydney. So I don't know how we got to Brisbane, but we don't know how. But that
sounds about right, though. Yeah,
that's the federal system.
Doesn't make common sense.
And then what's the next limit? Why is it costing so? Well, everyone's coming from three states.
Yeah, that's right.
So maybe there was a technicality of Brisbane being in the middle of everyone.
Yeah, okay, halfway, whatever. Yeah.
But in that sense, like, this guy was paying exorbitant amounts of money to keep, and they'd go there, he'd pay, she wouldn't pay nothing. And, if he was late. And when we say late, if you look at Darwin, he's a seasonal worker. So he still gets paid in the season, but the rainy season, you don't get paid a lot up there, mate. Especially if you're working on the land.
Farms and that,
yeah. And you ring up, no, that's it. You get hit with interest, you're getting hit with this, you're getting hit with that.
And guess who pockets the penalty fees?
Yes.
Not them.
Yes.
So
it's a money-making
It's
scheme.
right, it is. And they're happy for you to keep late fee, they're happy. Get another one.
Yep.
Because it's not the mum that's going to get it, or the father, it's child support.
Yeah. And in that, that administrative structure is sort of carved out a little bit from the family law because, obviously it's more an administrative area, but that in itself, I think, needs to be fixed, and they need to be a little bit more accommodating because, if you're really serious about mental health, then why isn't the dad being considered? Because, dads, they're committing suicide. Where's their mental?
yeah.
Who's looking out for these guys? No one.
I have fathers that have said they've called child, and I 100% believe because I've been on the phone many times, child support, where it gets to the point, gives me anxiety. I have someone that represents me now. I can't call them. And fathers go, listen, I'm not going to even make my repayments this week. You know, I'm suicidal. Can you just give me? Can we do a payment plan? No, too bad. Not our problem. Too bad. So sad.
It's really bad. It's really bad. And
I don't know how people work for that. How that I want someone from child support's in there and say, one, how do you sleep at night? Or two, tell me, you look me in the eye and say you've never gone home and struggled to sleep at night after working for that organisation. Like, is that you can't tell me that you've gone home every night and just slept at peace.
Look.
And I will say that I'm pro child support.
Yeah,
but how you calculate it and execute it is I don't agree with.
Well, there needs to be some discretion, some flexibility. You do have some people, if we can, for lack of a better term, grubs who,
of course, fuck
their dad,
lie.
exactly.
Yeah, of course,
they lie to them and they do that.
Put money here or there and blah blah blah.
Yes,
I get it.
And some just ignore it altogether and they go and work a cash job. That's unfair because the kid's really the one who's missing out, and you can understand, to an extent, why child support, but. Like I said, and again, we use the analogy of the firearms, 99.9%, 8%, great. And they'll ring up and say, oh, man, I think I've got a problem. But shouldn't we incentivise these guys to do that and say, okay, sweet, mate, can we just do it over this period and we need you to catch up, And if that's the case, or when can you catch up? Can I put you on a plan until you catch up? Like, I've got a mortgage to pay. If I don't pay my mortgage, I don't have a house. If I don't have a house, the kids go, look at all this stuff. That's the flow-on effect. Yeah. We're not looking at that. It's just that's what it says. That's what it is. That's how we got to – no. We need to be a little bit more flexible that sort of stuff.
Yeah. I had Jeffrey Morgan on, previous guest, had a I think he spent $22,000 on a pre-book holiday to Bali, got flagged at the airport, said he had – and this was back in the day, they were sending an invoice to the house. He changed his address. He's much older. And he got pulled in by AFP or whatever, and they put him on loudspeaker, and he said, "What's wrong?" He said, "Oh, child support want to speak to you." And they said, "Oh, you overdue by $10,000." He said, "Oh, no worries." Pulled out his card. He goes, "Sorry about that." Pulled out his card and goes, "Here, I'll read you the numbers. Pay for it now." And she's like, "Not too bad, so sad." The AFP guy actually stood up for him and said, "Listen, you've identified a problem. He's got the solution. I can see him right now. He's got his card. Just let him pay for it." He said, "No." So he took them to court for 7 years, back and forth, got absolutely nowhere.
That's the problem with Australia's bureaucracy. Okay, it's senseless, and at times it can be extremely senseless because we have bureaucrats in different areas making decisions that shouldn't be made by those people. Yeah. There should be some common sense, and there's your solution. The problem was identified. We had the AFP even saying the same thing. That's what was going on.
He was sticking up for him.
Yeah. Why not? So we got that. And then and that ties in, those sorts of decision making. And again, I won't go off topic too far, but what happened with Ben Roberts-Smith, for instance, ADF. I'm a big fan of the cops, the ADF. You know what? Because these are the people that keep our community safe, bring law and order, and also national security.
House, call the cops.
Absolutely. That, or, unless you're in castle law. That's another podcast. But, you see what happened to them. These are the guys that go out on the front lines. They're risking everything for you and me to have this nation that we can do this, right? And then you've got these bureaucrats sitting somewhere else making a decision based on what would ideologically and optically look good, okay, notwithstanding that they're not there being shot at. They don't have a green on blue incident occurring where they're being, there's a traitor and a treasonous grub living in amongst that Taliban community wanting to kill our guys. And that infuriates me because these guys are putting everything on the line, and we bring back these heroes, and they're heroes because, mate, they're at the coalface. All the ADF deployed, anyone, got a lot of time for them all the time, and I respect them. I just want to say thank you to each and every one that's put on a uniform. Bloody legends.
Yeah, bloody oath.
Bloody legends, and, lest we forget all the time. But attacking these guys who were literally defending their mates, and then we get them and run them through the courts, and then we got these media organisations who knowingly misled the Australian population by editing footage and doing that.
Inserting gunshots in.
Exactly right. And then we've got these guys, they're making up stories about how it would have been out there and how it went.
And they've never been there.
They haven't been there, mate. You know what you do? You get every one of those people that made those decisions. The next one that comes up, go and put your flak jacket on.
Go do 8-month deployment. Come
Here's
back
your
to
M4.
Me. Catch you.
Go, we'll see you in 8 or 12 months. Okay.
8 months, no toilets, no showers, no running water, burning your own feces every day, no pee.
That's right. You don't know when the mortar's going to come in and hit. You don't know when the rocket's coming in. You don't know where that sniper bullet's coming from. You go there, now you judge on that, not on some little textbook hidden behind a bench somewhere thinking, oh, this is how it should have been. Bullshit.
Yeah.
These guys have got everything on the line, and here you are judging them by a bullshit standard.
That's right.
Sorry, anyway.
No, man. Mate, we'll probably come up running out of time, but I've got some conclusion questions, but before we jump onto that, do we miss anything? I mean, there's not enough hours in the day to we get to it heaps. So. Mate, I've got the 6 conclusion questions, the same conclusion questions I asked all my guests. I'm probably going to add one more, and I haven't thought of to add one in yet, but now they are tailored for fathers that have been through the process, which you have, but even if I have broken daughters or not, I keep the questions the same. So the first one is, any advice for fathers, knowing what you know now, would you have changed anything during the court process?
One of the process, hold the moral high ground. Don't get into the weeds. Don't get into the weeds. Hold the moral high ground. Always talk fact, talk evidence. Don't get into, she's a bitch, she's a dickhead. Gets you nowhere. Treat the courts with respect always. Okay, remember the judge doesn't know you, doesn't know. Typically, that's should be anyway, if we're talking about, so just don't get in the weeds. Be respectful. You can go home and hit the punching bag. Sweet.
Yeah.
You can put anyone's face on that punching bag, but, when you're with your lawyers, when you're with the courts, have that respect. Treat her with respect. If you've got kids, remember, you can divorce your missus or your husband. You can't divorce your kids.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we've got a system that inadvertently divorces one party from those kids, and they do it by virtue of those actions, the proxy actions and the delays. That's where the time taken, time back is really good.
Yeah, mate. That's a good one, that one. Mate, number 2, how do we change the system? We probably touched on it before. Amendments.
Yeah. We make some strategic, laser-pointed amendments. What works good, what doesn't work. If it doesn't work, sometimes it's not working because of a procedural flaw. We identify that. And, you were talking about, the law. The law is there now, but, when we kept hearing during COVID, the science is settled, it's never settled. And that's what I kept saying. And neither is the law. The law needs to, how does it work? Well, people like this, broken fathers, identify problems. We need to get that and have a look at the feedback. And they say, we've done all these studies, but who's doing those studies?
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
They're usually I'm not kidding you. They're usually the lefties. The lefties doing, this is how it should look. Well, no, that's not the way it's friggin' operating.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's not going to work in theory.
Tarek Deep asked this question, and hopefully I get it right. He said he recommended having a judicial review committee. I think they have it in America. Have you heard of that? Mm-hmm. I think it was best explained. I'll probably word it wrong, where we kind of explain it as if, you watch the NRL and all the referees referee that weekend, and then there's someone above all the referees that reviews all the referees' decisions that weekend and go, mate, that was a pretty poor decisions you made.
The video
I think that's the way we explain. But I thought that's he said it's not here in Australia. I think he said it's in America. But I thought that's a pretty good. I'll probably judicial review committee. I'll probably word it wrong.
JRC. Look, whatever it's termed, I think theoretically it could be a good thing. But that's what they'll say the appellate process is that. But that's another $150,000. Going through an appeal, but. In some areas, that could be where it's not necessarily for that case. You're not reviewing that case. What you're doing is you're getting a whole bunch of cases together. And remember, when you actually get the stats, a lot of people don't realize, when you get those reports and they've got the stats, they're where people have signed consent orders on the basis of something, and something completely different turns out down the track. And so statistics, and as a criminologist, a lot on statistics, who created the plan, what methodology was used, what measurements were used, where did the information come from, and how was that inputted in there?
Yeah.
These are all variables we were just told, for instance, 22% of cases, settled here and because of this, and, 32% had domestic violence. Well, if they had domestic, they're not the stats. But
Yeah.
if it was 32%, were they told by that lawyer, it's by consent without admissions? Okay? There's no admissions here. You're just doing this to resolve the issue today.
Yeah.
A lot of guys go, you know what?
I get it.
I want to cop it on the chin. I'm not going to get a criminal record. I'm out of here. What does the stats say? 32% domestic violence cases. See the misrepresentation.
Yeah.
It's inadvertent. I'm not saying, but it's also very tactical and strategical.
Yeah.
If you want to get a message and a narrative push,
of course.
that's how you push your narrative.
Cheeky.
Now, that's not conspiratorial. I'm just saying this is how stats work. And if you control the stats, you control the information. That's where these organisations come in. I'm not saying they're all bad, but I'm just saying we really need to look at it. So a JRC in America, Rob was telling me at the lunch that they've got these court observers. So they send groups into family court and people are writing down and judges are like, well, who are all these people? We live in an open justice system too. Why don't we just get people in there going, this is what was said in the family court?
Yeah, I know, right?
And watch them.
Let journos in the family court.
I'm not saying to do this.
Yeah. Funny question. If you're on death row, the guard comes and asks you what you want for your final meal, drink, and dessert. So pretend you're in prison, you're locked up, you're on death row. The guard comes and asks you, righto, Tony, mate, tomorrow's the day, you're getting electrocuted, you've been hung. What's your last meal, drink, and dessert?
Oh, last meal, I'd say a steak, medium rare, some salad.
Mushroom sauce?
Oh, no, pepper sauce,
Oh,
mate.
pepper.
Pepper. Yeah, extra pepper on the side maybe. The drink, bottle of wine.
Yeah, red.
A bottle, not a glass.
Yeah, absolutely. Last one. Dessert?
Dessert, I'd say mango.
Just a mango by itself?
Nice fresh mango.
Cold.
Yes.
What about mango sticky rice? You had that from the Thai restaurant?
No, I haven't.
Bro.
Is it?
Wow.
I've never had it.
Yeah, nah, get it.
I never had it, but a nice fresh mango.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Mate, if you were in a room with every single person you'd met or interacted with on this journey, who was the first person you'd be drawn to and why?
Mate,
whether it's your family court journey or maybe your lawyer journey, I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, so I'd go law, definitely. But can I just say one? There's many. And,
okay.
And I hate to. It's like saying which kid.
Is your favourite? Yeah, okay.
It's so hard, man, and it's a great question, by the way. I love the question. But during COVID, there was that one guy, Professor Jay Bhattacharya, and I did a lot of family law cases where one party wanted the vaccine, the other one didn't, and it was really unfortunate because courts were ruling, oh, you got to get it, and I said, hang on, it's a clinical trial, and then since then I've uncovered. Look at the statistics of the TGA. Anyway, we won't go down that path. But the issue with Jay Bhattacharya, he helped me. We were called conspiracy theory, but he stuck to his guns, right? Jay Bhattacharya is now the director of the National Institute of Health in the United States of America.
Wow.
And they were putting crap on all of us, censoring us. They were censoring us. They were doing all sorts of stuff. Nearly everything I put in that case has come true.
Wow.
Nearly everything that I wrote a book on International Handbook of Whistleblower Research, Chapter 16, pharmaceuticals, renewable energy and defence were my three topics. I said, we got to protect taxpayers. Remember where I started? I said, patriotism is about sticking up for these people. And that's why people get up and look at this stuff. It's about participating and identifying. I imagine bulletproof vests, they said it stops at 7.62 round, but we buy 20 million, it costs us $4 billion. Stuff. But it doesn't stop at 22. Well, we've been defrauded. Why can't I say something about it?
Yeah, that's right.
Bloody ridiculous.
Yeah.
No, we want to because this is what we need to, unless they give it a voice, it's not going anywhere.
Mate, what strategies or tips helped during the process that you could recommend to any listeners? Maybe for fathers struggling through the court system.
Yeah, through this process. I would, again, stay evidence-based, because when you start veering away, that's when people take advantage of those, and you're always looking at those sorts of things. Always respect the court. Always do that regardless, okay? Even if, something goes, your lawyers are pretty well adapted to it. The intentions are good, but don't be afraid to question it.
Yeah.
Okay? And a lot of what's happening, costs and things, obviously, got lawyers, they're commercial beings, they need to make money, but a lot of it too is procedures through the court that make your lawyer do that.
Yeah.
It's not because he wants to. And, look, I look at, I know the way I practice, so I'll look at it, I know where you're at. I know where you're at, and I'll do what I can to help.
Yeah.
And so, stay measured, stay composed, be respectful at all times. Don't get into the weeds, and always respect the process, because at some point, if you trust the process, it could work for you, but don't make the wrong moves at the wrong time, because, signing that interim just for now, and then you get all the proxies going on. It goes on for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
By now the kid's same.
I think in the long run, yeah.
So,
mate, last one. Any message for your children?
I love them all dearly. And just like any dad out there, mate, it one of the most stressful times was that. And I feel so much for dads out there that, and mums, it doesn't matter. But again, for dads, because I see that's where predominantly the problem is.
Yeah.
They're struggling and they struggle. And, I'll get a client, mate, I can hear, mate, they're not crying visibly, but inside.
So they're broken, they're crying, yeah.
They're broken. They're broken and they're hurting. And sometimes I'll just say, mate, let's go out for a coffee. I don't charge.
Yeah.
Mate, let's go out for it. Let's have a chat. I don't. And I'll take my weekend out, Let's go down to the beach, or let's go and do this, or, mate, tell me what's up.
Yeah.
I'm better off talking to someone else about it. But dads are broken, and I find it hard. It's a mixture of emotions. It's hard. It's infuriating. And it's really sad to see that a dad has to spend
Fight
so
for his
much.
kids, yeah.
And they're paying to see their child.
Yeah, exactly.
They're literally paying.
And meanwhile, some fathers, their ex has already moved on with a new guy, and that stranger's already spending more time with their kids. And so yeah.
That's right. And what better hit on your dignity and integrity? There's no bigger hit, but it is. And mate, I'll tell you, I feel for it.
Yeah.
I feel.
Yeah, I don't wish it upon my worst enemy.
No. So I thank my lucky stars that was it. But one thing I did do is, I say this, military.
Yeah.
Hold the line.
Yeah, mate.
The second you don't walk away from, and it's so many people said to me, mate, Tone, just pack up and walk away. I said, no effing way am I leaving my kids.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah.
They're going to know who fought.
Yeah. Well, mate, what an episode. How are you feeling?
Thank you. Appreciate it, mate.
Nah, man, listen, on behalf of the Broken Fathers podcast and all my viewers, mate, I'd like to thank you for taking time coming on. I always want to acknowledge my guests, especially when they live in different states. You've taken time to be here, so I do appreciate it. Mate, Roosters Premiers 2026. I wish you all the best for the year, mate. I no doubt we'll be in touch. And, yeah, mate, if you ever back up this way, pop in.
Bless you, man, and thank you for everything you're doing out there, because you're doing some really good stuff, man. Just to all your viewers, they should be very, very appreciative of what's happening, because it's the voice we need.
Thank you, brother. God bless.
You, man.
Thanks, man.